appearance since Game 3 of the 2022 World Series. And according to ESPN's Kylie McDaniel, the A's will call up their number 2 prospect, right-handed starter Gunnar Hoglund.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time.
This hour is brought to you by Legacy Group Capital Common Sense Lending.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Wyman and Bob.
On Seattle Sports.
Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton.
We've got Mike Lefko and Dave Wyman here with you today. One guess as to which one this is talking right now. I'm not Dave. I'm not Bob either.
Hey, at least you didn't start the show by going, hello? You remember that one, Matt? That was Curtis Rogers, I think, was behind the glass for that one.
I'm sure Matt has the audio, though.
It was a
we
bad
could find
start.
Matt if you get lucky.
It was a bad start.
It was?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what did you
We're
say
off to a
after
good
that,
start.
though? That's what's key. How did you recover?
How about welcome to the show?
Not the, this thing's on.
Yeah. Well, we'll get Bob back probably tomorrow.
Well, I don't know. It's so nice out. Maybe
maybe that's it.
I
didn't even
of the
think
weather.
about that. He's playing hooky right now.
I envy him because that was my plan. It is one of the nicest days of the year. The water is right there, looming out in the distance. And I was like, you know what? I might play hooky today. And Bob said, no, I'm going to do it first.
Yeah.
So
he
Bob,
beat you to it.
Bob will be back tomorrow. Meanwhile, we have a loaded show this afternoon. Going to be a lot of fun, Dave. We got good football insight and good baseball discussions coming up. Jon Morosi at 2:30. Paul Moyer, who we haven't talked to in what feels like a long time.
Well, not since the draft.
Not
either.
since the draft. Not since the Mariners have continued to win. I don't know,
Oh, my
Moyer.
gosh.
Moyer might want to talk all baseball. Who knows?
I'll tell you what, we might need to do an hour with
An
Paul.
hour with Moyer.
I
Is
want
he
him to
aware of
break
that?
down every single player and just talk about this Mariner team, man. This is a really exciting time right now for Seattle sports, right? I mean, you've got and it's not with the Mariners. They're not getting it done in the classic way. They're getting contributions from everybody, and then by all accounts, this is. I would say this: it's the least complained about draft that the Seahawks have had, I think, since I've been covering the team. Yeah. So, I mean, there was complaining later on sometimes, like with Aaron Curry. I think everybody was happy with that pick at the time, but then that didn't really work out. But, as far as just everything lining up, as far as need goes, maybe you could nitpick and say, maybe the cornerback position wasn't addressed the way you wanted it. But for the most part, the number one need was offensive line, particularly guard, and they got who they thought was the best one. But then on the other side, you got the Mariners, just scrappy team, man. Love what they're doing right now.
Yeah, and we'll hear from your favorite player, Cal Raleigh.
Yes.
Coming up at 5 o'clock, the Cal Raleigh Show with Shannon Dreyer at 5 o'clock. Derrik Klassen, the co-host of the Athletic Football Show, will also join us at 3:30. We'll see if his draft insights kind of echo what you've been saying and what we've heard, Dave, from a number of guys that you guys have talked to. Eric Edholm, Dane Brugler, everyone that's been on the station. Daniel Jeremiah had a lot of good things to say with Brock and Salk as well. That every single person, it sounds like, does love a lot of what the Seahawks did. And you're right, that if it's a complaint, it's maybe kind of a nitpicky here or there of, well, they didn't do this, but I do like what they did here. And we'll get to that with Daniel Jeremiah. There's one potential pick that he thought could go the other way, but then had a reason why he kind of liked that. So we'll get to that a little bit later. But you mentioned the Mariners, and we came on after their win yesterday. A total team effort. Dan Wilson kind of broke it down, how this offense came to life in a huge seventh inning and got them another series win over the Angels.
I think that just being aggressive can be a huge benefit, and you look at a small thing like a ball getting away from O'Hoppe and Cal making a really aggressive read and getting down to second base on that pitch. That's just heads up baseball. That's just being aggressive, getting himself into scoring position. It's wanting to get 90 feet more or 90 feet closer to home. So anytime you can do that, I think you're putting yourself and the team in a lot better position, and that's what these guys have continued to do since spring training.
It seems like everything's working right now.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Cal and both catchers had stolen bases. So I mean that was cool. Was it at one point I was driving in, so I was listening to it. Was there a pitch out and then they threw somebody out on base? I'm trying to remember.
The Mariners did have a guy caught stealing, yeah. So Garver threw a guy out too.
Yeah, that was the one I was talking about, and I think it was a pitch out. So, yeah, it's kind of, you don't see that often with the Mariners. But, yeah, I mean, just every little way that you can do it. I mean, like I said, it's a scrappy win. You know, you've got Samad Taylor laying down the perfect bunt. And I was also listening to that as I was driving in, and Rick Riz said, you know, if you'd have taken a ball in your hand and just rolled it into the exact right spot, a bunt can be laid down. You probably couldn't have done any better than that. So, you know, you're just getting those kinds of plays. You know, you saw Emerson Hancock, you know, no real hard contact. I mean, he back-to-back outings as far as he goes, you know, after that rough start for him, have been pretty good, you know, and I think he got a quality start yesterday, didn't he? Was it
3? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So, yeah, it was. It's there's lots to like right now, and the thing I love about it is that it's, you know, everybody's coming together, and you're getting it from all these different places that you did, and that's what Dan said yesterday in the press conference. And somebody asked him, "What's your, you know, what are you most excited about during this 7 series, I should say, win streak?" And he said all the contributions from everybody. You know, that's the favorite part of this whole thing, is that this team is coming together.
Well, what's funny too about that, when you talk about the stolen bases, he mentioned Cal's stolen base into third that then led to a run. But if you look at Cal Raleigh, he has the third most stolen bases on this Mariners team. So Rosarena has 8, then you have a couple guys with 5. Raleigh has 4, and Mitch Garver has 2. And the Mariners as a team have the third most stolen bases in MLB. They have 37 behind the Cubs and Brewers, the most walks in baseball. So they're getting on base. They're pushing pitchers out of games early, big pitch counts, and it really has been everyone. And kind of like you were talking about with contributions up and down the lineup, the bottom of the order has been monumentally important for this team.
They just put up good at-bats. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. Like, great concept of the strike zone, understanding what their strike zone is, and then understanding who they are as a player, who they are as a hitter. Being able to hit the ball on the line, you know, use the middle of the field like they do. All those things, I think, help them understand and come up in those situations and put together a really good at-bat. And they've been doing it so well and so consistently.
And you brought this up yesterday, Mike. The stat was pitches per plate appearance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what was it?
Top 5 in baseball, 3.99.
Amazing. Yeah, so they, like he said, everybody's they're putting together some tough at bats, and you know, and I think the other thing that stood out to me is just the way that he's coaching them right now and his staff. And you know, he said they understand who they are. You know, so nobody's trying to do too much, and yeah, it's just everything is working, and it just looks. I think primarily it looks like a really well coached team. You know, all of the things that, you know, Perry Hill, and what was the story about Perry Hill that he went down and dapped somebody up, I think, after a play? I think it was Williamson was telling us that. And, you know, how he was just usually doesn't show that kind of emotion. But that's so rewarding. I think, first of all, as a coach, that's what you want to do. You want to bring out the best in everybody. And that involves understanding, you know, who you are. What are your strengths? And then, you know, that's the best thing a coach can do, is bring the best out of you. And so these guys understand what that is, and they're making plays all up and down the lineup.
We'll ask Jon Morosi about that, the impact of coaching. He joins us at 2:30, so we'll get JP's thoughts on this Mariners surge. And then something Dave mentioned, the Ben Williamson interview. So we got a chance to talk with him after the game yesterday. Got that on video. We had Justin Barnes down there. I think he startled him a little bit when we said we're going to put a camera right in your face. But now Ben Williamson's gotten more media savvy. So if you want to watch that interview, you can check it out on our YouTube page, Seattle Sports on YouTube, or seattlesports.com. That goes for anything you might have missed. You guys had a great interview with Nick Emmanwori on Monday. That's up on our YouTube page as well. So go check that out. Plenty of conversations with Seahawks players, Mariners players, and much more. Well, Emmanwori told you something, Dave, that he had to see how the number fit on him before he would decide. And he did decide on a number, and it's a very interesting one for what it means to Seahawks history. We'll get into that and much more as we continue here on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app.
Mariners have won 7 series in a row.
Be baseball's hottest team does it again.
They're getting it from so many different places. You got J.P. Crawford, you got Leo Rivas.
Tell me about Samad Taylor's bunt.
Oh, that was sexy.
With momentum at their back, the M's look to keep rolling tomorrow night. Mariners, Rangers. Pre-game at 4 after Wyman and Bob. First pitch at 5:05 on Seattle Sports. Listen on 710 or the Seattle Sports app.
Hey, it's Dave Wyman for Swedish Cyberknife. You know, the other day we had Andy Ryder, the mayor of Lacey, and a Swedish Cyberknife patient, along with Dr. Landis from Swedish Cyberknife in studio last week. And a couple of things that stood out about Swedish Cyberknife treatment. Number one, it only takes 5 sessions. Andy was able to complete treatment in 1 week, Monday through Friday. And while continuing to work full time, and each treatment session lasts less than an hour. So he was able to remain comfortable during treatment, wearing street clothes, didn't experience any side effects other than mentioning he was a little bit tired. But you compare that with other treatment methods where you have surgery or you have to have a catheter. Also, it was really cool to see the relationship between Andy and Dr. Landis. Andy held him in such high regard and spoke with incredible respect. Dr. Landis is a multiple-time recipient of the Seattle Top Doctor Award. So we talk about building a sports team and trying to find stars. Swedish Cyberknife truly has that. It's an all-pro roster of doctors and world-renowned experts in their field. Swedish Cyberknife treats patients from all over the state, and you don't need a physician referral. You can just reach out to them directly. So if you've been diagnosed with prostate cancer, go to swedish.org/cyberknife prostate. Treat prostate cancer with Swedish Cyberknife.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card, so let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with the Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
This is Secret Clinical Dominating Extra Stinky Stress Sweat. And this is regular deodorant. Secret Clinical in a heat wave. Oh, what a beautiful day. This is regular deodorant. Ugh, I can't. Secret Clinical with workout sweat. Let's run another marathon. And regular deodorant. How much more? Secret is the GOAT. Because nothing fights sweat better.
Stay fresher under pressure.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Watch your favorite show live at seattlesports.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is for you too. Stubborn fat is really hard to get rid of, and then there's all those gimmicky lasers, fat freezing methods, and prescriptions. Imagine a simple solution that takes just 1 day and provides immediate noticeable results. Introducing ProSculpt. ProSculpt uses air-assisted technology that's safe and gentle yet powerful, delivering instant fat-reducing and skin-tightening results. Performed by board-certified plastic surgeons while fully awake, ProSculpt contours your body with minimal downtime. It's designed to target those problem areas: waistline, neck, face, arms, thighs. ProSculpt gently removes unwanted fat and tightens loose skin with FDA-cleared plasma technology, all in a simple, guaranteed 1-day procedure. ProSculpt is one and done. Schedule your free consultation at proscope.com for $250 off. For powerful permanent fat removal and skin tightening that works for ladies and you men, it's proscope.com.
Eric Johnson here. I covered a lot of accidents over the past 30 years or so, but I never got to say much about what to do after a crash. Be honest, do you know what evidence to collect, what pictures to take, what documents to request, or what you shouldn't say to your insurance company? The Washington Accident Book Series is a must-have for drivers who want to be prepared for whatever the roads throw at them. Know your rights and how to avoid common mistakes after an accident by getting your free copy at WashingtonAccidentBooks.com.
Mother's Day is Sunday, May 11th. Still need a gift for Mom? Puyallup Chocolates will make you look thoughtful. Send Mom a stunning gift box filled with premium chocolate treats. It's so beautiful, no wrapping is needed. Every box includes a handwritten card with your message. Order by May 7th to guaranteed delivery in time for Mom. Go to PuyallupChocolates.com and use code ESPN to get 20% off. A beautiful box, a sweet surprise, and a very happy mom. PuyallupChocolates.com. Order now. This hour is brought to you by Legacy Group Capital Common Sense Lending.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Wyman and Bob.
Weekdays 2 to 7.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Dave, we started the show by talking about how nice it is outside. Kind of commiserating, right, that we're stuck inside. And our guy, Matt in Mercer Island, I don't know if this is a typo or this is just a new nickname for me, but I kind of like it. I laughed. He texted and he said, "I'm feeling your pain there, Pickles. Such a nice day."
Pickles. That's like a clown's name.
Yeah,
Pickles the clown.
A dog,
yeah, so
right?
it fits.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's what I think when I look at Lefka now.
Wait, clown or dog? That would be a good dog name, right? People call their dogs Pickles.
Yeah, that would be a dog name.
That's a dog name for sure.
Is it supposed to be nice this weekend?
No. So tomorrow,
okay,
yes. Good. Wow.
Yeah, because I don't want these draft choices coming in here, these rookies being disillusioned.
Well, no, they're here already. And it's really nice today, and it's really nice tomorrow when they start practice.
I always think that when those guys come to town, I'm like, and if it's just pouring rain, like was it yesterday or 2 days ago, it was just a dreary, wet day. And I'm like, don't get too excited if it's like 90 degrees and sunny out.
So you want them focused, just beaten down by
I just
the
don't want them disillusioned.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about those Seahawks rookies right now. Actually, let's take two. So you mentioned it, Dave. They're here. All of them are in town for rookie minicamp. It officially begins tomorrow with practices. They're all going through probably, playbooks and everything that you do when you first arrive. Yeah. The most important thing, they got their uniform numbers assigned. And Nick Emmanwori, you asked him about it. You asked him what number, and he said, well, I have to see how they fit. So can you guess? I'm going to read off some other numbers for you. Gray Zabel, number 76. Jalen Milroe, number 6. Riley Mills, 98. Who else do you care about here? Robbie Oots, 40. Torrey Horton, 15. Bryce Cable-Dew, 77. Damian Martinez, 22. Mason Richmond, 78. And Ricky White III, number 86. Elijah Arroyo, number 18. So what do you think Emmanwori is wearing?
Well, there's no 92 number taken, I see. And
you
then that would be
that, yeah.
pretty awkward for a safety. I actually peeked, though.
Of course you would spoil it. You said you didn't want to peek.
I know.
Why did you
I
look?
couldn't help myself.
Classic Wyman here.
Number 3?
Yeah, number 3. It's back.
Wow. There's been no number 3
for the past couple
Russ.
years. Yeah.
Do you think Russ finds...
That was pointed out by Curtis Rogers yesterday, actually.
What's that?
Number 3.
Oh, that it hasn't been given
used,
out?
Yeah.
It's time to move on.
Yeah,
It's time to move on. So, yeah, that's kind of interesting. I was hoping it would be 28. You just fall in love with a number. I remember when I was in high school, I was number 28. And then when I got to Stanford, they gave me 92, and I'm like, 92? But there was this legendary linebacker that, a guy that actually had a really bad knee injury like I did. But I'm trying to remember his name right now. But, then it just grows on you. And you're like, oh, okay, this is my number. But, yeah, kind of interesting that he's number 3.
I still can't believe you looked. The last thing you told me before we came back on air,
Mike, how long have we been knowing each other?
I know, and I was excited.
Be a surprise
I was
at all.
excited that we could actually surprise you, and then Matt, he spoiled it. He just... All right. Well, hey, number 3. There it is. So those are the numbers for the Seahawks rookies. They have rookie mini camp this weekend. They'll be on the field on Friday and Saturday. Well, the team of the Mariners are about to play Dave, they are reeling. The Rangers just lost to the A's 3-0. They were playing a 4-game series against the, I'm going to call them homeless A's because they don't really have a home that they go by.
Yeah.
You like to refer to teams on second reference by either the proper name or then the nickname. So if you say A's or Athletics every single time, sometimes you mix in like an Oakland or a Sacramento, but they don't have a city name. So the nameless A's beat the Rangers in 3 of 4. So the A's are now in third place in the division. The Rangers are 16-16, and the Mariners go in with a weekend rotation of Brian Wu, Luis Castillo, and then Logan Evans. And for the Rangers, you have Jack Leiter tomorrow, Patrick Corbin on Saturday, then the big one will be Jacob deGrom, who the Mariners did have some success against when they came here earlier this year, but still, always a big name to throw out there for the Rangers. So a pretty critical series to start this road trip for the Mariners.
Yeah, there's only 2 teams that are colder than the Rangers right now. They're 3-7 the last 10. And if you just look at their offensive output of what's going on with the Texas Rangers, it's a good time to catch them. Paul Moyer used to always say that. We'll have on the show later. A lot of times if a team gets whooped really bad or whatever, it's like, oh, you don't want to play that team because they're angry or whatever. But Paul would always say, no, they're playing bad football right now. And you look at the Rangers, what they've put up. They 0 runs today, 1 yesterday, and then they had an explosion of 15 against the A's in Game 2. But then they've scored 2. I mean, even in their wins, 2-0 win against San Francisco. But yeah, they're not plating runs, man. It's a good time to catch them.
Yeah. Take Two is brought to you by Swedish Cyberknife. Treat prostate cancer with Swedish Cyberknife. Swedish.org/cyberknifeprostate. It's pretty interesting that you brought up the offensive struggles of the Rangers because I think we thought this Mariners team would struggle, especially when all these injuries started to pile up. So this has been the most impressive part of this Mariners season. Certainly the offensive explosion, the balance that the offense has shown. And Dave, we're doing this as an offense, if you're the Mariners, without Dylan Moore, who was placed on the 10-day IL a couple days ago. Yep. And then we got the tough news that we touched on briefly. We came on after the Mariners win yesterday. Luke Raley out for 6 weeks before he does anything. He is shut down for 6 weeks with a grade 1 oblique strain, and then he'll start. So you're probably conservatively looking at 2 months before the Mariners get Raley back. So now you're looking through the lineup. Yeah. They already had Robles out. They already had Bliss out for the year, likely. So this is a team that they're going to need all those bats that we've talked about because they have some injuries piling up.
Well, and, how long can you expect, to have plays from, and good play from, on the pitching, in the bullpen, Bizzardo, Troy Taylor, and then, you've got Samad Taylor. I mean, it's really cool that they're playing well right now, but can they continue? I mean, is Samad Taylor going to lay another bunt down like that again? Right. Probably. So that's the really tough part. Boy, Raley, you always hear about an oblique injury, and usually it's like a strain or something, but that one was weird. I mean, the video of him just like he dropped to the ground.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I was hoping that it would be like 2 or 3 weeks, but you probably knew ultimately it was going to be a really difficult one just based on his reaction to that, because that's a big, tough dude.
I think they need your motto. Just if you don't have an oblique, you can't injure.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you can't pull muscles that you don't have.
Exactly. I think they're kind of important for baseball players, though. Yeah, maybe not as much for football. So, yeah, Luke Raley, not good news with him. We'll talk about some more injuries and then what this coaching staff, like Dave mentioned, has actually done to help this lineup. MLB Network's Jon Morosi, he joins us every week. He's set to join us next here on Wyman and Bob on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app.
4 down territory, going inside the game with former Cougs and Seahawks wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
Nicky Emmanwori has been compared to Cam Chancellor, but have you heard another one that you think may be a better fit?
He's a mix between Cam Chancellor and a Kyle Hamilton. Kyle Hamilton is a bit better when it comes to covering, and Cam Chancellor was just that pit bull roaming the block, ready to bite anybody who goes across the middle of the field. He has a little bit of both in him.
4 down territory, every day at 11:15 and 1:15 on Bump and Stacy.
Hey, have you been considering surgery or even joint replacement? It's Dave Wyman here, and after years of football, I know all about bad knees and bad elbows, bad shoulders. So I recently had a consultation with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine, and I've heard so many patients rave about stem cell therapy with Dr. Wagner. People with severe osteoarthritis, even bone on bone. They're back hiking, jogging, playing tennis, golfing, even just going up and down the stairs with the grandkids and doing it without pain and without surgery. Dr. Wagner's 60-minute outpatient procedure uses your own stem cells, which can regenerate your own cartilage in your own joints. Dr. Mark Wagner is a board-certified Seattle physician with over 30 years of experience, and he's performed over 20,000 stem cell procedures. And he's one of the few doing it the right way. So whether it's a shoulder, hip, elbow, ankle, wrist, or knee, before choosing surgery, see Dr. Mark Wagner first. Get the facts, then get back in the game at drmarkwagnermd.com.
From whiplash to herniated discs, there are a few car accident injuries we've all heard of. J.P. Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains that even the most common injuries differ from one another.
Pre-existing conditions, health history, beginning of treatment. There are hundreds of factors that make every person and every injury unique. While these variables aid medical treatment, the strongest case recoveries must also take them into account.
Could you explain a little bit more?
Our team at Pendergast Law is obsessed with turning over every stone to differentiate each case. This requires thorough investigation, diligent listening, and relentless research. We never pursue cases with a one-size-fits-all approach. We built our success by treating every injury and every case with the individualized attention our clients need and deserve.
Pendergast Law's individualized approach to even the most common injuries makes the difference in case outcomes. It's another reason why I can't recommend them enough.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
Hey, it's me, the foul pole at T-Mobile Park. But it's about time they call me the fair pole, because those are the moments I live for. When Cal's up to the plate, I'm always on high alert.
The big dumper with a two-run blast.
And then there's Randy Arozarena, launching missiles into the stands, flipping his bat so high it practically reaches my eye level.
Blasted back, Randy Arozarena strikes again.
And J-Rod, heck, when he connects, he makes the whole building shake.
And it's gone. Goodbye, baseball. Julio Rodriguez.
So come on down and take a seat beside me. You might even go home with a souvenir. Mariners baseball. Tridents up.
The Mariners are celebrating Mother's Day weekend during a 3-game series May 9th to 11th. And on Mother's Day, Sunday the 11th, the first 10,000 moms will score a clear purse thanks to Muckleshoot Casino Resort. Then the action continues with a showdown against the Yankees May 12th to 14th. Get your tickets at mariners.com.
Mike Salk here, and luxury awaits at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel, where comfort meets elegance. And this summer, you can experience the breathtaking Cascade views, the world-class dining and entertainment, and elevate your next getaway by combining effortless style with the utmost relaxation. Plus, Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel's award-winning outdoor summer concert series is back with amazing artists like Hanson, Austin Jenks, Melanie Fiona, and POD. This summer, overlooking the beautiful Snoqualmie Valley, snocasino.com for tickets. Seattle's closest is now Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel.
Subscribe to the Seattle Sports YouTube page to find new and exclusive content from your favorite shows and personalities daily. Just head to YouTube, search Seattle Sports, and click subscribe.
For many of us, it's happening. Your hair is thinning, crown disappearing. Hair loss for me was like identity theft. The solution? The simple one-day treatment that worked for me from Advanced Hair. And I'm just one of tens of thousands. Advanced Hair was recently crowned the winner of the 425 Business of the Year again. Advanced Hair begins regrowing your own natural hair the very next day, and it's guaranteed to grow for life. We've all seen the pills and lotions, those monthly subscriptions. They help retain what you have, but if you're like me, you want more. You wanted your own natural hair in specific areas permanently. From Advanced Hair's groundbreaking technology to world-class Dr. Polanco, it's not maybe your hair will grow, it's guaranteed that your new hair will grow. For your free consultation, $250 off, 250 free hair grafts, call 425-449-8185. That's 425-449-8185 or advancedhair.com.
Pacific Power Batteries understands batteries for golfers, batteries for your car, your golf cart, and your Bags electric cart. We also sell good, used, 5-year-old E-Z-Go and Yamaha golf carts with a written satisfaction guarantee starting as low as $17.99. Located in Everett, Marysville, Mount Vernon, Bellingham, Monroe, and Wenatchee, you'll find our staff is well-trained in batteries and the latest charging technology. Pacific Power Batteries, with batteries for golfers.
As America's leading business lender, Bank of America is on your corner and in your corner, right here in Seattle.
With $215 billion in business loans and over 3,700 business specialists across the nation, we help businesses thrive so communities prosper. What would you like the power to do? Learn more at bankofamerica.com/local business. Bank of America, official bank of FIFA Club World Cup 2025. Copyright 2025 Bank of America Corporation, all rights reserved.
I've never heard a person walk out of the stadium and say, wow, I wish that game would have included more weighting.
He is an endless source of baseball and hockey knowledge.
José Berríos, el lanzador de Puerto Rico, el Clásico Mundial de Béisbol.
Jon Morosi, every week with Wyman and Bob.
You're being serious with me right now?
We are serious. In just a few seconds, though, Dave. JP's getting settled in. He's a well-traveled man. I think he was in New York City yesterday doing a Mets broadcast. So
it's funny that whole open is based on a comment that I made.
Yes, it is.
And I was like, I mean, they shortened the game, and they have the pitch timer and the whole thing, and I was like, I mean, it kind of goes by fast, and I'm okay with it, and that's what spurred him to say maybe like the most controversial thing I've ever heard JP say.
Well, he's here with us now.
He sounded genuinely annoyed.
Jon Morosi with us on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. JP, we were just reminiscing about your response to Dave wanting more weighting. So it's an iconic response there, and we appreciate that back and forth that happened.
I appreciate it indeed, and great to be with you. Yes, indeed, I was at Citi Field last night in New York, and I'll be honest, I was able to actually spend one night this week as a sports fan. Oh. Yes, indeed. So I got to New York on Tuesday, went to Citi Field, did my pregame prep, so I had my conversations with Corbin Burns on the Diamondback side and checked in with a number of players. It's about 6:15 or so as I had wrapped up, and then it's about time to get ready for the game. And I said, you know what? I could either stay here and watch the game to prepare for tomorrow's game, which is the actual day of our broadcast, or I could take my Tuesday night and go to Madison Square Garden and watch the Pistons and the Knicks. And so I just so happened to be in New York when the Pistons were playing the Knicks in Game 5. The ticket I bought, and yes, I bought it as a fan, it might mean I haven't told my kids yet they're not going to college anymore because of how much the ticket cost. But it was worth it, and I saw a dramatic win by the Pistons. Detroit is now back as a basketball town, and the whole experience is pretty cool.
That is cool. Yeah, getting to be a fan. JP, we do want to ask you about the Mariners, and I know you've been busy traveling and watching the Pistons, but certainly you've seen what's taken place with this team, 7 straight series wins. Dave and I were kind of wondering about the coaching impact of that. What impact Dan Wilson and Edgar have had with this team, that the offense looks really good. They're getting on base. They're being aggressive. How much of that can you chalk up to coaching?
I think it's certainly been a big element, Mike, and we saw the change, of course, late last season. The Mariners realized, and it wasn't that Scott Service was deficient in these areas at all. I think it was just time for a different voice. And sometimes with a new voice, there are different points of emphasis. There's been a lot for this team already to overcome this season, with Robles being out, Julio struggling, of course, for the most part in the month of April. I've been impressed at the way that they have kept this group united. You look at the American League West right now, and I know it's hard to say this on the 1st of May, but here among friends, it's the Mariners' division to lose. I really believe that, and certainly there are some concerns there with the pitching staff, injury-related. I get that. But when you look at the totality of what they've been able to do, and still the ways in which I believe this group can get stronger as the year goes along, they've got an A-level closer. The bullpen has been stable. But I think to get back to the premise of your question, the offensive approach, I believe, has been better. And even if you improve your efficiency or effectiveness in 2-strike counts, or by running the bases, going first to third more often by 5 to 10%, that's going to make a hugely meaningful impact on the standings. I think we're seeing that so far. And I think all things considered, think about all the years we've gone back and had conversations. This is about as good as I have felt about a Mariner team at the end of April that I can recall in the last several years.
Yeah, I think there's lots of things to like right now, like, the bottom of the order. But one of the things that kind of stands out to me is that they're still 8th worst as far as strikeouts go in Major League Baseball. And I don't know if this is fair or the right thing to look at, but the slug and the OPS, they're top 10. And that, I mean, you can stand the strikeouts, right? As long as you're, getting extra base hits and hitting for power. And that's also what's going on. And we talked last year about, gosh, if we could just get on-base percentage, slug, OPS up to like the middle of the pack, it'd be great, because they were in the bottom 5 all of last year. And yeah, it just seems like the coaching is taking effect. Like you mentioned, Edgar, JP, as far as the hitting goes, it's been really good. That's to me, I feel like that's the most refreshing thing. But what do you think is the key to this 7 series in a row streak they got?
I do think the coaching has had a meaningful impact, and I think with Edgar's lessons, and certainly I'm not in the hitting meetings, of course, myself, but what I can piece together by what we're seeing right now is there's a better plan. There is a better plan. I think the two-strike approach is better, and I think they're also just getting better pitches to hit. Swing decisions is the buzzword that you hear a lot now in Major League Baseball. And I think when you've got someone who's in the Hall of Fame giving you that lesson and giving you that message, it really resonates a lot. And I think, too, you consider the depth of the lineup and where the damage is coming from. There are threats at more different stations, more varied stations of the lineup than what was the case last year. And you can, to your point, you can live with the strikeouts when you know you are getting the damage. I think last year's offense, where they had some issues, was you were getting a lot of strikeouts without necessarily a ton of power and a ton of run scoring. I think as long as the runs are crossing the plate, by whatever formula you get there, you can live with that. And again, part of that, too, is when you have a lineup that can slug, which the Mariners are now building towards that. Raleigh, certainly should be an all-star this year based on the way that he started this season. When you've got a team that can slug and you've got a team that can run the bases well, it just puts pressure. It puts pressure on the opposition. And I think too often a year ago, pitchers were comfortable going against the Mariners. And I do think Edgar's voice has helped in this regard. They're just a harder team to game plan for. You think about it, if you're going to an advanced meeting before a series begins, the pitching staff, the game planning coaches in many cases, pitching coach, if there's a catching coach, sort of the defensive room, if you will, the defensive coordinators, so to speak, there's a thought of, okay, how are we going to stop this team? And the Mariners right now are presenting the opposition with more things for them to think about because they're able to use their legs, I think hit for more power, and we're seeing the results. And again, it's Mitch Garver has been a little better than he was a year ago, maybe even substantially better than he was a year ago. But the point is they just had to improve enough. And if you were not going to change a tremendous amount of your personnel, you at least had to change the messaging and the approach. And for a team that clearly was not going to play at the top end of the market in free agency, they weren't going after Juan Soto. There was a few players they weren't just going to be able to afford. Okay, you have to find different ways to maximize your ROI, so to speak. And I do think the coaching staff has been a major focus of the organization, and it's worked.
Well, JP, they don't need Juan Soto. They have the best hitter in baseball, Jorge Polanco, right now. He has been sizzling, and I'm not sure any of us expected that. But is it as simple as he's healthy and that adds, physical, you can swing, mentally, you feel a lot better? What have you seen with Jorge Polanco to the start this season?
The health is number one, Mike, and we talk about just the skill set that he brought to the team when he was acquired before the 2024 season. And remember, the idea last year was he was going to bat third. The Mariners saw that type of player in Minnesota. That's why they acquired him. And I think that the key word when you talk about the health and the impact of it now on the way that he's playing is explosiveness. Explosiveness. That athletic spark that I remember seeing him have in the American League Central for a lot of years, that's back. And when you balance that with a switch hitter who can play, obviously, some fairly demanding defensive positions, I would imagine, I don't have it off the top of my head right now, but if you look at what the Mariners' record is when he either scores or drives in a run, he's become the catalyst to this team. I will say it all season long probably. Cal Raleigh is the most vital, the most indispensable player on this roster, but in some ways Polanco has become the most catalyzing one, the spark plug of the team top to bottom, and you just think if Julio eventually gets back to being who he has been in the past, and then you join him with Polanco and an even better version of Cal Raleigh and a little more productive version of Garver, and Dylan Moore's having this renaissance this season, you start to like a lot of the things that you're seeing from the lineup right now. And of course, it's not quite time to talk about this yet, but they also have the type of farm system to where you might be able to make a move. And after falling short of the playoffs each of the last 2 years, I would imagine that ownership, Jerry DiPoto, Justin Hollander, realize the extent to which the fan base is going to expect a very impactful trade deadline based on where they're at.
Boy, we saw Robles yesterday, and he's not being quiet.
No.
We know that about him. He brought a broom into the media room, and he's screaming out things. I mean, he seems fired up, but like he's in this big contraption for his shoulder. And then you saw the Luke Raley thing. I mean, I don't know if you saw that video, JP, but where he takes a swing and he like drops to the ground, and and you just look at. I mean, that's the one thing that always kills a team, right, is injuries. And those are things you just can't really count on. But, with Logan, with the tightness and, you haven't had Kirby. I mean, I don't know if Robles is going to make it back or not. And same thing with Raley, really. If you look at, they said they shut him down for like 5 weeks.
6 weeks.
6 weeks. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, but, I don't know. How long can you count on, Leo Rivas having, an on-base percentage of, what is it, in close to 500? I mean, it's really cool to get that kind of stuff, but it also, out of those kinds of players, but it also makes you think, how long can this go on? I mean, how deep are they? And I don't know, right now, I think I'm with you. I think that the coaching is carrying it, definitely, but does it kind of give you some pause when you're looking at, the injuries starting to stack up?
It does a little bit, David, but I would also say this, that you look at the rest of this division, I'm not sure there is a full-strength, fully talented team that they're competing against head-to-head right now. The Astros, yes, that they've gotten a little bit better maybe since the season began, but they're not who they used to be. And the Angels, I don't think, have the consistency yet. The Rangers... I look at some of their pitching. It's a little bit up and down still. Offensively, Marcus Semien has really struggled this season. I think that this is a division of flawed teams. If the Mariners were in the American League East right now, their record would probably look a lot more like what the Rays' record is right now, or maybe they'd even be in 5th place based on how good the AL East is, or even the National League West, which is a really deep division. The Mariners right now are in a very advantageous division from a competitive standpoint. There's still good ball clubs there, but none that really scare me. And so while I agree there are some injury-related issues this team has, and certainly none more concerning than if the absences of Kirby and Gilbert go on longer, because we know how important they both are. But it doesn't strike me that the rest of the division is poised to take advantage of the Mariners in some way. I think this is going to be one of those divisions that can be won with 89 wins, maybe 90. It's going to be somewhere in that range as opposed to 100. So the Mariners just have to keep playing good ball, and I believe they'll find their way to the postseason. So I think the rest of the division is helping them right now. And you look around, if what they have to get at the deadline is a corner bat, like a corner outfield bat, to fill in the Robles Raley production where they thought that was going to come from, you can usually find a Tommy Pham at any given time. There's a reason why he's always moved to the deadline. He's a good player, first of all, but that's the type of player, a veteran on a one-year contract, who tends to get moved. And interestingly, I don't think he's coming back to Seattle, but just for evidence of how volatile this part of the market can be, Jared Kelenic was just sent down to the minor leagues by the Atlanta Braves. So this is a part of your club that if you're not getting big-time production, there's often someone else who can play a corner spot and makes your lineup better. And again, we'll see as well on the pitching front, the Mariners don't need a dramatic reshaping of their rotation, at least not from what I can see right now. These injuries don't seem to be super long-term, but it's a lot easier to get a competent rental starter, this year's version of Zach Eflin, if you will, someone like that, to fill the gaps if the absences of Gilbert and Kirby go on a little bit longer. But I got to tell you this. Now that we're in this conversation, I can't believe it's taken me this long to mention to you that Logan Evans, the new arrival to the rotation, went to high school about 10 miles from my house.
Oh, really?
So we're Saline High School in Saline, Michigan. So we're going to be, I believe he's the second pitcher ever. I don't know if you had a chance to speak with Logan yet. I believe he's the second pitcher ever from Saline High School to go to the major leagues, joining former University of Michigan pitcher Bobby Korecki. So I think it's Bobby Korecki and now Logan Evans. So I've got to get some solid intel on Logan Evans, and I promise you I'll report back at length once I'm able to talk with his high school coach and people in the community who know him. You're not going to lack for Logan Evans content in our conversation.
Well, JP, actually, you would like this. We did learn a fascinating piece of info. So Gary Hill had a conversation with him that we then played the day that he debuted. And we learned, and I didn't think this was possible, Logan Evans from Ann Arbor does not like Michigan. He's a Michigan State fan, a family full of Michigan State fans
and I
who
believe
live in Ann Arbor.
I love
Is that allowed? Is that allowed,
It's
JP?
100%
Okay.
it's allowed. There are plenty of families that have different allegiances. It takes, I'll say this, and I believe Logan, if I know his bio correctly, I think he started at Penn State, and then he went to Pittsburgh. So he spent his college years in the state of Pennsylvania. But I would say this, that if you're living in Ann Arbor and you're a Michigan State fan, that is well understood, great university. It's in our state. It's an hour away. There's a lot of families like mine who have both Michigan and MSU alums in it. That is completely normal. What is a little more unique is if you've got people walking around wearing scarlet and gray and cheering for Ohio State. Yep. That's where you almost check, all right, what's the story here? You would never say that to someone who's wearing Michigan State gear because the Spartans are everywhere. Tom Izzo's great, so that there's never a second guess there. But if you're wearing Ohio State stuff around town, then almost always you'd get a bit of a question. And certainly it's a great university too. I've got friends that have gone there, but so Logan's comments totally good. He's good with me. I'm sure I'll let my wife know, but I'm sure she'll still be a Logan Evans fan despite her allegiances to Michigan.
See somebody from Ohio State, you just call the cops.
Yeah, I guess.
Again, it's just something that you don't often see. It's just different, and that's where the Michigan State rivalry. I'm sure it's similar to the Huskies and the Cougars when they play. You got every office, most offices, I suppose, have a blend of the fans where it's totally normal. It's just when you go out of state and you go to the arch rival, it's just little different tone when it's the Buckeyes.
Right. No Oregon allowed here.
Understood.
So
Yeah,
it's kind of respected. The in-state,
like
you're right. No Oregon here. So perfectly summed up there, JP. We appreciate the time as always, and we will catch up with you again next week.
Sounds great. We'll see. I'll have some takes on the Pistons Knicks for you next week as well. Really, by the way, I cannot wait. The first time the Sonics come back and play a playoff series, I want to be there. I want to be there when it happens, because if you go back 20 years ago, I should go check the exact date. I covered that, like, the last time they really had a chance to beat the Spurs in, like, the Western semifinal in 2005. I was there as a young writer for the PI. I sort of attached myself to the group of reporters that was covering that series. I wrote, like, the 7th sidebar, but I was in Key Arena that night. I think Tim Duncan scored a late basket. The Sonics had a couple chances to win. I have to go back and read my story from that day, but that's I remember being there and loving it and understanding how important the NBA is in Seattle. So one day, my friends, they're going to come back.
Yeah, one day soon. All right, thanks,
All
John.
right,
We
thanks,
appreciate
JP.
the time.
All the best, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, you never know where the conversation will lead, and I was pleased to chime in with the Logan Evans insight because I happened to learn that, and I was stunned. I didn't know that you could be a Michigan State fan right in the heart of the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor.
I forgot that he used to write for the PI.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew that. Obviously, I just hadn't thought about that in a while. But I think it's going to be a while before the NBA gets here, Mike.
Maybe an announcement next summer. It keeps getting pushed back, but
I hate to be doomsday,
We have rumblings.
Dave.
Oh, that's right. We have. We don't have your doomsday coming up. We do have Draft Day Dave's deep dive coming up at 4, which Bob attached the doomsday to it. But
5, yeah.
You want to add another D to that? Then we can get the doomsday in there. But you're right. We'll focus on the NBA when it gets here, and maybe it's not going to be soon. But at this point, any nugget of potential timeline gets people excited. Those who haven't tuned it out, I know a good portion of people listening are just so closed off and will never come back to the NBA, and that's fair, and that's understandable as well. But maybe when they get back and they get into the playoffs, all that excitement will reinvigorate the city. So a future conversation for us and for Jon Morosi as well.
Well, I just, to me, I'm to the point where I'm tired of hearing people say, the logical choice is Las Vegas and Seattle. And I feel like that's been said for...
Until they give you a set date that it's happening. You don't care.
I mean, I feel like they've been discussing that. Maybe I'm wrong, but for 4 years. And let's get on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think longer at this point, because at this time it was supposed to be okay. Well, now the timeline's set. We don't have to go into the semantics, but yeah, everything they said they needed to have happen has now happened. So it's just, what are you dragging your feet about? Well, you got me fired up now, Dave, because you're right. It should be back. There's no reason why. You have an NBA-ready facility. They've played NBA preseason games here for the past, 3 to 4 seasons now. They've had the NCAA tournament here for both the men and the women. They had the men's here, first and second round, just this past March. The women, they had the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 here. They hosted a ton of teams. So this city can do it. Bring an NBA team back. Bring the draft here, like you and Bob are pushing for, and we'll be ready to roll. We'll have a good time. One thing that stood out to me there, good insight from Jon Morosi. You can hear that conversation on our podcast page, on YouTube as well. That conversation will go up on the Seattle Sports YouTube page. So anywhere you want to go back and listen to that, you can. But he was talking about Polanco and the impact of a true number 3 hitter or a power bat in the middle of the lineup. And how many times last year did we talk about, well, who else is there besides Raleigh and Julio? And, they go through their natural slumps. So now that you have that true bat to lengthen the lineup where Polanco is your feared power hitter, and you have Raleigh behind him, and you have a Rosarena after that who has been such an impactful hitter, there's that length and the power length as well for the Mariners. And I think you can see why they're third in MLB in home runs, 45 home runs, third in baseball.
Yeah, well, and they have 2 top 10 home run hitters. One being Cal, the other Polanco. And we talked a little bit about this yesterday, Mike. This is amazing to me that Jorge Polanco, because if you look at those that have hit 10 home runs, 9, 8, you look at the strikeout numbers and pretty high. Mm-hmm. You look at Cal, he's got 10 home runs and he's struck out 36 times. Polanco, single digits.
That is impressive.
That is amazing.
Really impressive.
I mean, you've got 9 home runs and 9 strikeouts. Whew. And really, you have to go down. I mean, I think there's a kid from the Chicago Cubs that, I think Carson Kelly, I think, has a low strikeout number. But yeah, I mean, other than that, you look at Polanco, he's just been like you expect. Power every time he gets up. So yeah, that's pretty amazing that you're being able to count on him. And and speaking of the injury things, that is the one thing that really kind of bothers me a little bit, especially with the pitching, because we've become so reliant on that. And you hear Logan with the tightness, you just hope and pray it's not going to be something worse than that. Haven't had Kirby back. So but yeah, I mean, Polanco has pushed through his injury, and he's been able to manage it pretty well. I got really mad in Cincinnati when he tried to steal a base. So I was like, no sudden movements,
and
man.
He still can't bat right-handed, or they don't want to have him bat right-handed because of that side injury. So that is, in a sense, we're seeing a Polanco that's only playing half of what he can do, and he still has 9 home runs. Yeah. And so the Angels had the best game plan yesterday. Hey, if he's the hottest hitter right now, throw lefties, keep him on the bench. So he didn't come in against Tyler Anderson. They brought in their other reliever, and he was also a lefty. So Polanco didn't get in until the first right-handed pitcher came in. That's the only way to stop him right now, I think.
Right.
Have lefty pitching.
Well, the other thing about this is just professionals in general. Sometimes if you have some kind of adversity, it makes you dial in on other things. And so Polanco at the plate, man, I'm thrilled to hear that, because, there was some criticism of, well, is Dan Wilson doing a good enough job? And, is this, has Edgar's coaching had an effect? And looks like that they're starting to.
Yeah. All right. Well, a lot to talk about. I think Paul Moyer is just going to want to talk about the Mariners. I don't even know. We want his draft insight because we haven't talked to him since the draft happened, but he's going to be fired up, and his,
he is.
What do you call them? The abandoned boys?
I'm sure
abandoned
boys
they are just
up
at a fever pitch of excitement. So we will catch up with Paul Moyer next year. Wyman and Bob on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app.
Mariners have won 7 series in a row.
Baseball's hottest team does it again.
They're getting it from so many different places. You got J.P. Crawford, you got Leo Rivas.
Tell me about Samad Taylor's bunt.
Oh, that was sexy.
With momentum at their back, the M's look to keep rolling tomorrow night. Mariners, Rangers. Pre-game at 4 after Wyman and Bob. First pitch at 5:05 on Seattle Sports. Listen on 710 or the Seattle Sports app.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Sparta's Pizza reminds parents to enroll your kids in a positive youth program. Sports, hobbies, and community activities improve overall health and performance in school. These programs decrease drug use and violence and develop self-discipline and leadership skills. Let's team together this year to help our kids reach their full potential. Best wishes to all our kids from the entire team at Sparta's Pizza and Spaghetti House. Serving the best pizza in the universe. Come visit them in Linwood, Bothell, Mill Creek, or online at spartaspizza.com.
Hey, Brock Hewitt here from my friends at PCF Group, or People Come First Construction Group, and that's exactly what they did when we made the call a couple years ago. We wanted to redo our outdoor space, wanted to add a deck, an outdoor living, a television, and a kitchen. And PCF Group, wow, they more than delivered. And if you're interested in building a stunning outdoor area like we did, I cannot recommend them enough. Reach out before the good weather arrives, and their schedule, well, it's going to fill up. So whether you're looking for a complete outdoor living space or a very specific project like an underdeck ceiling, deck, patio cover, railings, PCF has you covered. Design now and pay later. In fact, get 12 months, no interest and no payments, and up to $6,000 off and a $1,000 Amazon gift card. Request a complimentary design and estimate consultation at 425-629-8476 or project ideas. Explore photos at pcfgroup.com. That's 425-629-8476.
Underestimating the trucking industry is one of the biggest mistakes I see victims and other lawyers make. Trucking companies have an army of lawyers and experts who act quickly after an accident to protect the company. Only an experienced trucking accident lawyer can navigate the complicated federal and state laws to protect your rights. If you or a loved one has been injured in a trucking accident, call Davis Law Group today for a free consultation or get my free book on trucking accident law at washingtonaccidentbooks.com.
Jake was suffering from osteoarthritis when his doctors asked him to consider surgery.
However, there's a 9-month recovery period where essentially you're not walking and you're not putting much in the way of weight on.
That wasn't going to work for him, so he decided to see Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine for stem cell therapy.
I heard the ads, and that caused me to do due diligence.
And how are you doing now?
There's not really any pain now at all. I have no limitations in what I want to do.
Wow, so you're able to do anything you want to do?
I recently played golf at Cycle House down in Pebble Beach, walked 18 holes, which I hadn't been able to do for a number of years, and then went for about a 2-mile walk with my friend.
I take it you'd recommend stem cell therapy to others then?
Absolutely. Had I known then what I know now, I would have done this several years ago and saved myself a lot of pain and suffering and agony and limitation to activity.
Before you choose surgery, consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Schedule your consultation at drmarkwagnermd.com.
This is Secret Clinical dominating extra stinky stress sweat. And this is regular deodorant. Secret Clinical in a heat wave. Oh, what a beautiful day. This is regular deodorant. Ugh, I can't. Secret Clinical with workout sweat. Let's run another marathon. And regular deodorant. How much more? Secret is the GOAT. Because nothing fights sweat better. Stay fresher under pressure.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
Today was the deadline to exercise fifth-year options for first-round picks of the 2022 NFL draft class. Now, only 6 were declined, but one of those was tackle Evan Neal by the Giants. That was a guy that was drafted a few picks in front of Charles Cross. Seahawks obviously extended and picked up Charles Cross's fifth-year option, but Evan Neal declined by the Giants. Another one of those guys, Kenny Pickett, had his fifth-year option declined by the Browns as well. Mariners begin a series in Texas tomorrow night. The Rangers just dropped 3 of 4 to the A's. It's a 5:05 first pitch with Brian Wu on the mound for the Mariners, Jack Leiter for the Rangers. And for the Astros, Lance McCullers Jr. will start Sunday against the White Sox. It'll be his first MLB appearance since Game 3 of the 2022 World Series.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time.
This is the moment many wait for.
The most entertaining.
A man of wisdom, a man of experience, Dave.
The most informative.
To bring light to a dark subject. To bring positivity to a negative world.
The incredible Paul Moyer.
Moyer out.
All right, Wyman said just get to it. Just get him on the phone already because Bob isn't here. I was going to give you a glowing introduction, Paul, but we are glad to have you, a man of experience and wisdom.
You wanted to do something above and beyond the
Sure, I was going to
thing.
add on to it. But, Paul, either way, it's great to have you back with us.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm just trying to be humble because, if I get in the draft and I'm not, I could drop pretty far down that draft. So just happy to be here. And what can I do to make this show better?
Well, Paul, we were wondering what you would want to talk about more. I mean, we have an entire draft to break down because we haven't talked to you in a while.
Yeah,
and then
can't wait.
We've got the Mariners just smoking hot right now. Yeah, you look at JP, and I thought maybe we'd start off with the Mariners, but yeah, I mean it's so fun to watch. When we were just talking with Jon Morosi, and I think he kind of agreed that it's sort of the coaching kicking in a little bit. Some of the approaches at the plate, and then they're just getting the best out of everybody. Paul, it's just really fun to watch.
They are. And look, I think, we talked about this a couple weeks ago in that, Dan Wilson has his way of doing things. And there's times where, you scratch your head, but you got to go in what you believe in. And over time, reversions to mean all those things start to kick in place and guys start to buy into it. And you look at what's going on. I mean, obviously Polanco is the story. I mean, could you imagine if he went to Houston or something this year? Oh my God, we would be dying. But what a great thought signing. I mean, you've got Williamson who's come up and has solidified third base. J.P. Crawford is going back to where, and even then some, what he was a couple of years ago. Cal having a great year. Dylan Moore. I mean, even Rowdy and Rivas have stepped up at times. So. Yeah, I just think they're all buying into this. It's early. I mean, they got to keep it going. They got a 2-game lead, which is great. But they're doing it this time when they're beat up, when the pitching staff's not clicking on all cylinders. I mean, you got Logan, Kirby, Brash. I mean, think about that, man. We get everybody back healthy, and but you're losing Raleigh. I mean, we got a lot of injuries, and we got a really tough schedule coming up here in the next 2 weeks. So it's going to be fun to see how they handle that.
Yeah, Paul, we kind of talked about that, going back and forth of, well, look what the Mariners have done with all these injuries. So on one hand, it might not keep up. But on the other hand, when all these guys come back, and outside of Ryan Bliss, it doesn't seem like any of these are season-ending, then what could the Mariners do fully healthy? So if we're going to be the optimistic and not doomsday, Dave, it is kind of impressive, right, that we've talked so much about the offense when the pitching staff, supposed to be the strength of this team, has dealt with those 2 injuries to key starters now in Logan Gilbert and George Kirby.
Yeah, I think what's exciting is it just creates competition now, and everybody wants to get in and be a part of this thing. when they get everybody back and healthy, look, I mean, Evans obviously he that's exciting for our future. I didn't know, if he was going to quite transition. We heard about him. We knew he had some good numbers in the minors. So it's nice to see them come up and actually have success. Hancock, again, the first outing was terrible. But golly, man, it just shows his mental toughness. Said, hey, I'm going to go back down to the minors. I got some things I'm going to work on. And his last 3 outings have been spectacular. So, the Mariners have depth. And that's the one thing about baseball is it's a long season. And you're going to have injuries. And if you can just mix a few pieces, which Dan Wilson seems to be doing, he has this philosophy, and it looks like everybody's bought in. And do you remember a couple of years ago, we just loved the clubhouse, we just loved the players. Mm-hmm. This team has that feel too. It's just guys, everybody's starting to root for.
Yeah, and we just had JP on, and he was mentioning, there's other teams that are suffering from these kinds of things, so it's not like we're the Lone Ranger. It looks like the Rangers are kind of in a skid right now, so that's a good thing. But well, Paul, hey, so we got a lot to get to with the draft.
Let's go.
We could keep going with the Mariners, but let's get your take on the number one pick. I call it it's the draft that is the least complained about. That I've been a part of, as far as going back, with the media days back to 2004. I mean, it perfectly aligned that you really needed interior offensive linemen, and you got the best one in the draft, as far as how they have them ranked. And what did you see out of Gray Zabel?
Well, what you just said, Dave, we knew about it, the name. We weren't sure what the Seahawks were going to do, leading up to that pick, but it was their top interior lineman. I think the one theme, though, I'm just hit a theme here, is you go look at Zabel. I'm just going to call him Nick for now because Emmanwori is going to be I'll butcher the name a few times. When I start going down this draft from Riley Mills to Jalen Milroe to see, let me get if I got his name. Is it Bryce Cabledew? Is that how you say his name?
Yep.
Okay, good. Got that one right. The one thing you start looking at, here's another one. Is it Robbie Oots or is it Oots? Or is it Oots? Okay, good. One, we are going to be physical. I mean, this is going to be a physical football team, but also this is a team that guys can play multiple positions. I was looking just at Riley Mills and watched him before he got hurt. Here's a guy who can play both inside and outside, Dave. He's 6'5", 300 pounds. He's got a motor, multiple positions. It's something that Coach McDonald likes. I think, with the safety they got out of South Carolina, same thing. I like his athleticism. He's got to get better as a football player. He's got to be a little bit more aware in some things. But I think, with the coaching that we have and the positions they're going to put him in, that's going to be exciting. So I'm excited for Zabel a lot. I have a couple of stars, though, in this draft, 3 of them. And one is, look, who am I most excited about? I'm most excited about Jalen Milroe. I just think you got a guy who's 6'2", 225 pounds, who runs a sub 4.4, and you go back and look. Not last year. Go back when Nick Saban had him and when they were running the football more and they were running more play actions. You go and look at his completion percentage was much higher 2 years ago. His quarterback rating was way higher. His touchdowns were higher. His interceptions were lower. What they did last year is they ran him a ton. I mean, he was a leading ball carrier, leading rusher. That wasn't the case when you go back and look at him when he was with Nick Saban before that and back in 2023. He ran for a lot, but he was like 5th on the team. So I'm just looking at, here's a guy whose upside is tremendous. You get him in the 3rd round. You're going to get a chance to sit there and watch for a few years with some packages and be coached up in how to play professional football, not, hand claps for cadence and sitting in the gun all the time, but under center. Oh, man. And you look at a guy like Jalen Hurts. He is a better Jalen Hurts. Now, he's got to get in the pocket and he's got to throw it, like an NFL player consistently. But I think it's there with play action, bootlegs, getting out of the pocket. this physical running football team. All of a sudden now you do some, I don't even want to say wildcat, but you just have him there, and we're going to run the ball, Dave. And when you got one more blocker than they got with some of this outside zone that we're going to be putting in, this has a chance to be something really special. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about his roommate, or his a teammate from Alabama. And, this guy's 6'3", 274 pounds, and played mostly H-back there. But, you're going to put him at a fullback, which they want to do. And he's a bruiser, man. I mean, he's just a flat-out bruiser. And so I'm super excited about this draft and where the players are going to be put in their spots. But I'm excited about the undrafted free agents we got too, Dave. I mean, that kid. Have you watched Jackson Woodard on film?
I think I saw a couple of things. Yeah.
It's unbelievable, Dave. He was the MVP for Mountain West last year at linebacker. He was at Arkansas before that. I put on the tape of him. All this kid does is make plays. Sorry about that.
More important things to deal with.
Paul's really excited.
He's
really excited about this guy.
Go watch him as a football player. I mean, he great instincts in the run game. He can cover. Dave, you know what he reminds me a little of? He's an undrafted free agent. All he does is make plays. MVP, doesn't get drafted. I mean, that was kind of me. Just maybe didn't quite have the tangibles of speed or what. I don't know what it is that they weren't looking at, but this kid can play. I mean, he's going to have a real chance to make this team, as a special teamer or backup. I think he'll push Knight. They got a good tight end from Minnesota. It was the second best run blocker in football, at least by PFF. So they got some guys who are going to compete for the type of team that we want to be, and that's a physical football team, and find guys who love to play football, and I think you got a bunch of them.
Well, Paul, what do you make of that linebacker position that you mentioned, the inside linebacker? None were drafted. They only have those two, and then some backups that haven't played much, and then cornerback, which could be an area of need. No cornerbacks drafted. They have that undrafted free agent, Cy Alexander from LSU. But is that just kind of the changing nature of the NFL, or is that this team is confident in who they have and didn't feel like they had to address that in the draft?
Yeah, I think they feel they have starters, and I think, again, I think this Jackson Woodard has a chance to make the team. Again, we'll see how he sizes up. They got him listed at 6'3", 230. Maybe he's a little smaller than that. I'm not sure. But I also think, we got the second wave of free agency coming up in June. And so, they're not done. There's still things to make this roster even better. I think at corner we're pretty good. I mean, you got Reek Woolen, you got Josh Jobe. Pritchett's got to make a jump. And again, we'll see if they pick, a free agent. Some of these guys are going to get let go in June for cap casualty reasons. They'll fill this thing out a bit. And it just gives undrafted free agents opportunities. And, the one thing about that, Mike, is there's only 7 rounds. You're talking 250 players. There's a lot of good football players in college who can play and have great, attributes of speed and size. And so just because someone didn't get drafted doesn't mean there's not good football players. As a matter of fact, a lot of times in that 6th and 7th round, they go and pick guys who are, 6'2", 220-pound corners who run a 4.3, but not great players. Can we develop them? And then when you get the undrafted free agents, they're guys who are, 6 foot, 190 pounds, and they run a 4.5, and they're really good football players. And so there's lots of opportunities for these undrafted free agents. And I think I read somewhere where the Seahawks had the number 1 undrafted free agent group of players on the defensive side. They ranked them number 1 in the NFL for 2025. So looks like we got some good players.
Well, and I'm glad you mentioned yourself, because I usually think of Doug Baldwin and Jermaine Kearse, undrafted free agents. Paul Moyer, add him to the list. Well, that's right.
There's so many. I mean, Rufus Porter, we're going back a ways.
Yeah, there you go.
Eugene Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's just so many guys out there, and again, all people want is an opportunity. And I think with today's practice squad the opportunity to still be developed over the next couple of years. You see more and more undrafted free agents end up making the team and have really good careers.
Yeah.
You, me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
You got anything for more?
Yeah, sure.
I already know what Paul thinks.
Yeah, I thought you were going to
pretty
talk to him
much.
more about the free agents.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, they have rookie minicamp. You want to go out to minicamp? You're here in Seattle, aren't you?
I am here for a couple of days, and then I got to fly out to Virginia and then back to Dallas, and I'll be back. But, yeah, I would love to. I think this group is very athletic. I love the tight ends we got. I mean, I think we got some guys who are really good blockers, again, with the undrafted free agents. And then, obviously, the kid out of Miami, he's a matchup nightmare for people. I mean, he's a wide receiver. I mean, he can run, he can catch. He's got big, long radius, with his hands and arms. We needed another tight end. I mean, we were low, and we needed also some guys who can actually block. And again, I think we got 2 or 3 guys that can fill that need. This is going to be a fun team, Dave. I mean, you can see how it's starting to build out. I mean, it's a bit of McDonald's vision, and there's no better, I think, GM out there than Schneider to say, okay, what is it you're looking for, and let's go out and find it. So, yeah, this is one of the best drafts I've seen. Now, again, we don't know anything for 2 or 3 years, all right? But on paper and just looking at the names, there's going to be a lot of guys that make this team.
Yeah, Paul, isn't it interesting that I think the joke kind of went out to McDonald after the draft? Hey, a defensive-minded head coach only used 2 draft picks on defense. But it feels like they really addressed all those areas you mentioned, a concerted effort on the offense. And I guess, does it give you a lot of confidence that McDonald in year 1, what he did with the defense, that they're in good shape? And now, hey, if you can get that offense back up to league average, this could be a really good Seahawks team.
Yeah, I mean, I just think what we did in the off season is well. I mean, bringing in DeMarcus Lawrence, that's going to help. I mean, I think letting guys like Derek Hall, hopefully Brian Murphy. I mean, we got so much depth right now across the board. I think getting Hankins back in here was important because we didn't have a lot of true nose tackles or the 0 to 1 spot there on the defense. So I think that's really important. Again, I'm looking at the depth chart right now. I think we're good. I even like Drake Thomas last year, as a backup inside linebacker. He's a little undersized, but he can play. I'm just looking at our lineup right now. It looks good. I mean, I think our defense is going to be solid, and I think we addressed everything we needed to on offense. What's going to be interesting, Lefko, is what our offense looks like. It's not going to look like last year. I mean, it's not going to look like last year at all. I mean, if you go back and look at some of the things that, our offensive coordinator has done in the last few years, 40% of his offense is 2 tight ends. I mean, that wasn't us last year. I mean, we were 3 wide receivers and a tight end, and we played a lot of empty backfield. You're not going to see that this year. I mean, it's going to look probably a little bit more like San Francisco at times, the Rams at times. And I think they pulled in, I'm just, again, looking at our roster. I mean, they pulled in so many of those pieces. It's just going to look so different. And so I'm really excited to see us get after this.
Well, Paul, good stuff. We always know you'll deliver some great insight. Mariners and Seahawks and everything else. So we appreciate the time, and these guys will talk to you next week.
All right. Appreciate it, guys. Have a great night.
See you.
Paul Moyer,
Thanks,
your guy.
Paul.
Can't believe you forgot he was the best undrafted free agent Seahawks ever signed. No, it is interesting hearing him rattle that off. And then you mentioned, all the good ones that have come through here, that they have found some really good undrafted free agents throughout their history.
It's always fascinating to me that how, like, a guy like Doug Baldwin just doesn't get drafted. And I guess it's, size and fit, and they're looking for certain things. But I'm glad to hear Paul fired up about the undrafted free agents, because that's a whole nother crop that, maybe if you get one guy who makes your practice squad and another guy that, maybe makes, significantly contributes to your defense or whatever it is. I agree with him on the linebacker, the kid from UNLV. I mean, he just, like, we'll talk later about, like, Torrey Horton, and I think I kind of came off as being, like, negative the way that I was talking about him, but it's just hard to see whether a guy's going to make that jump or not. So I always kind of leave a little bit of room for that. But, like for Horton, I just didn't see any like super quick twitch. He wasn't twitchy, as they say. He's kind of a long strider, and he doesn't. He rounds off his routes and things like that. You know who did that in college? DK Metcalf. That's just something that you get at the next level. And the reason is in college, you go out and you make plays. And so, my senior year at Stanford, I had like 170 tackles, 3 interceptions, and I'm like, it's working for me. You get in the NFL, it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. You have to tighten things up. That's what I loved so much about Gray Zabel and what he said on Brock and Salk is that, hey, I need to dial in on my feet and my hands and my placement and things like that. And he realizes that. And I think for a lot of players, it just takes them a while to go, oh, yeah, I kind of get it. Receiver's kind of hard to develop. Who were we talking to? We were talking to somebody from ESPN, and they were, we said something about receiver, and he basically was saying, when's the last time you saw like a Pro Bowl rookie receiver? Because it does take those guys a little bit longer, to develop just landmarks on the field, but then just the precision. For like DK Metcalf, he had a great career at Ole Miss, and, he got here and just realized that you got to run more exact routes. So, if it's a 5-yard in, don't make it 5.5. Don't make it 6. You have to be very precise on that. So that'll be interesting to see, which guys pick that up. But you never know who that's going to be. These guys are all highly ranked as far as athletic ability goes. And, their playing career, they have a history and everything. But who's going to take that next jump that, like, they were built for this game?
I hope it is maybe a guy like Zy Alexander, who was one of these highly touted cornerbacks, undrafted free agents that they brought in. And for one reason or another, he did slip out of the later rounds of the draft. He was projected as a mid to late round pick. Yeah. And for, Paul mentioned the starters, but for a team that doesn't have much cornerback depth, especially moving forward, where after this year, it's really uncertain. You don't really have an outside corner necessarily on the roster after this season because of Reek Woolen going into the final year of his deal and Josh Jobe and a draft pick behind him, but there's not a lot. So if you can get an undrafted free agent that just clicks, like you were saying, and maybe these guys come in a little more motivated than someone who was picked in the 5th or 6th round. And we just saw last year, this coaching staff is not afraid to cut draft picks. DJ James got cut. He was one of those corners that they drafted along with Nehemiah Pritchett. So if there's someone that impresses from an undrafted free agent perspective, I think they're going to play him. They're going to make these moves that you guys have talked about, that Mike McDonald will not hesitate to make a move like that, that the best player is going to go out there regardless of his status coming onto the team.
And that's one where you really have to check your ego. If you're John Schneider and you're like, I drafted this guy, whatever round, and I'm thinking about cutting him so I can keep a free agent who I didn't draft. It's kind of an ego thing, and I think a lot of teams suffer from that. Or they go, hey, that was our 5th rounder. At one point we had, but at some point you got to cut bait, if you're like, I was wrong. And a lot of times it's not being wrong. It's that the kid just doesn't have whatever that, you don't know if you can play pro football or not until you play it, so you have all the measurables and things like that. So it's kind of an ego thing too, that, and you mentioned that John will do that. I think that's kind of something that has happened in the past. And I saw a number of players that kind of came and went that, looked like they were okay, but they never got better, and they were kept around because they were a draft choice.
Yeah. Now, I do have a little bit of contention because you said you don't know if you can play pro football until you go and do it. Our texters are going to think you're talking about them. All the people who think they're smarter than everyone else, like, well, look, I could probably go play pro football. So we got to clarify. You're talking about actual football players.
Has anybody actually said that they can?
Maybe some of the know-it-alls on our text line. With Mean Text tomorrow, by the way. So 866-979-3776.
You're just trying to get him going, aren't you?
I'm trying to get him going. I'm not going to be here tomorrow in the afternoon, so I got to get him going a little bit early. So I was trying to help you out there. But
24-hour warning.
24-hour warning for Mean Text. Actually, yes, they're at 3:45 tomorrow. There you go. There's some promotion because Mariners pregame starts at 4 o'clock.
That's
so
right.
3:45 Mean Text.
Are you doing
Start thinking
pregame
about him
too,
now.
Mike?
No, I am going
You
to
got, like, the morning
take
show.
a little nap, come right back here. You'll get like 8 hours uninterrupted of me. That'll be fun. And then, carry on with the rest of the day. So that's what's coming up. Coming up next, though, we're going to continue this draft discussion. Derrik Klassen, the co-host of the Athletic Football Show, covers the NFL for the Athletic. We'll get his perspective on the Seahawks and where they stand after this draft. This is Wyman and Bob on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app.
Mariners have won 7 series in a row.
Baseball's hottest team does it again.
They're getting it from so many different places. You got J.P. Crawford. You got Leo Rivas.
Tell me about Samad Taylor's bunt.
Oh, that was sexy.
With momentum at their back, the M's look to keep rolling tomorrow night. Mariners, Rangers. Pre-game at 4 after Wyman and Bob. First pitch at 5:05 on Seattle Sports. Listen on 710 or the Seattle Sports app.
Hey, it's Dave Wyman here from my friends at Harley Exteriors. It's a local company serving all of Western Washington for the past 23 years. And I'm really excited to work with Harley Exteriors because they're my kind of people. I had Ray, Chris, and Nick out to my house just to see what they could do for us. You see, we've been in the same house for 24 years, and virtually every window in our home has a broken seal. And Harley Exteriors, they have an exclusive, high-quality Euro vinyl Olympic Series window manufactured right here in Washington. And these windows are designed specifically for homes in the Pacific Northwest, helping to maximize energy, efficiency, and beauty. And it's a window you can trust to last the life of your home. It's very affordable with options like 0 payments and 0 interest up to 12 months for qualified buyers. And through April, buy one window and get the second for 40% off. Harley Exteriors are big fans of the station, and they're excited to work with our listeners, and I'm proud to be working with Ray, Chris, Nick at Harley Exteriors. It's a team you can get behind. So get in touch with Harley Exteriors for windows, doors, and more. They're right here in the Puget Sound. Give them a call at 833-HARLEY. That's 833-HARLEY, or go to harleyexteriors.com.
Are you trying to buy a new home, or are you a local real estate agent seeking financing for a client? We're all tired of dealing with banks, credit unions, and endless guidelines. Wouldn't it be nice to go back in time when we had common sense lending? Hi, I'm Scott Rireka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital based in Bellevue. We are one of the largest local private portfolio lenders in Washington. We've helped thousands of home buyers and real estate investors reach their financial goals by leveraging the Legacy Common Sense borrowing platform. What that means is we lend our own money, we make our own decisions. If your deal makes sense, we'll get it done. Whether you're purchasing a new piece of real estate or refinancing an existing loan, bridge loans, construction, or regular home loan, it doesn't have to be as difficult as banks and lenders make it. If you're trying to grow wealth through real estate acquisition, come talk to the experts in private lending.
Call 425-635-4700 or LegacyG.com. Legacy Group Capital, your common sense lender. LegacyG.com.
What do you get when you assemble 400 new and used RVs with over 1,000 floor plan options, plus manufactured homes on 20 acres? You get the best chance to save all year. The Puyallup RV Show, May 1st through 4th. Free parking. Get tickets at PuyallupRVShow.com.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
My wife and I have been married for over 15 years, and I've never had any complaints about my performance in the bedroom. But after I turned 40, things started feeling different. I was gaining weight, losing muscle, and I just wasn't interested in sex anymore. My wife told me her friend's husband went through the same thing, and it turns out he had low testosterone. So we booked a free T-check at Revive Health, and that's when I learned that my testosterone levels were low too. We worked with a provider to create a custom treatment plan, and today, my wife and I are having more fun than we did on our honeymoon. My only regret is not reaching out sooner.
If you're ready to book your free T-check, visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com or call 206-529-1111. Again, that's 206-529-1111.
Getting engaged? At Shane Company, dream engagement rings are our specialty. We have the most beautiful natural and lab-grown diamonds, hand-picked in every price range, ready to compare side by side. Shop online at shaneco.com or in store. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Or down territory, going inside the game with Michael Bumpus.
I like this. More quarterbacks should start doing this.
Every day at 11:15 and 1:15 on Bump and Stacy.
As America's leading business lender, Bank of America is on your corner and in your corner, right here in Seattle. With $215 billion in business loans and over 3,700 business specialists across the nation, we help businesses thrive so communities prosper. What would you like the power to do? Learn more at bankofamerica.com/local business. Bank of America, official bank of FIFA Club World Cup 2025. Copyright 2025 Bank of America Corporation, all rights reserved.
Georgetown License reminds parents to enroll your kids in a positive youth program. Sports, hobbies, and community activities improve overall health and performance in school. These programs decrease drug use and violence and develop self-discipline and leadership skills. Let's team together this year to help our kids reach their full potential. Best wishes to all our kids from the entire team at Georgetown License, taking care of all your vehicle and vessel licensing needs for over 30 years. Online at georgetownlicense.com.
Well, this week's First Mark Challenge victory goes to Norm. Norm, why did you call First Mark Insurance?
Spending too much money on insurance, and it just kept on going up higher and higher and higher. And this last time I did the First Mark Challenge.
So they were able to save you some money, Norm?
Oh, yeah, at least $2,000 a year.
What?
At least.
Wow. You ever feel like, man, I wish I would have taken that First Mark Challenge earlier?
Yes. I mean, $2,000 I could have saved a year, over probably 4 or 5 years. Wow.
How would you describe their customer service?
Fantastic. Beyond expectation. Call First Mark. They treat you like a real person, that they have your best interest in mind.
Norm did it. My family did it. You got to do it. And it's totally free. Go take the First Mark Challenge. See how much money they can save you like they did Norm, and how much better your coverage will get to. Maybe you will be our next First Mark Challenge victory I get to talk to. Just go to firstmarkinsurance.com. First Mark Insurance. They work for you.
Wyman and Bob.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
Weekdays 2 to 7.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Mike Lefko and Dave Wyman here with you this afternoon. We have talked a lot about the Seahawks draft. It was a big one. It was a productive one. And we're bringing in someone now, Dave, who talked a lot about the draft as well. He did a fantastic job hosting and being part of the Athletics draft coverage. Derrik Klassen, co-host of the Athletic Football Show, covers the NFL for the Athletic. Derrik, how's it going today?
Doing good. Still pretty tired from it. It was a long week doing all that draft stuff, but I'm good to be here.
You guys were cranking out so much content. It was very enjoyable. I'm sure in some extent it's exhausting, but in part of this is it's such a thrilling, exhilarating process. How was that whole experience for you guys covering the draft and really churning out so much content?
It was awesome. I mean, the big thing is obviously, Dane does the beast, and he is one of a kind in terms of the work that he puts in. And so to be able to have him as an asset for us there for the live show was incredible. And obviously the Athletic has put on the live show for, I think, 4 or 5 years now, them doing the draft show. But this was my first year with them and my first year doing it. And it was incredibly fun. It's a longer weekend than you anticipate. It's going to be 8 hours, live in front of a camera, but it's even longer by the end of it once you really get down to it.
Do you kind of feel like a proud papa when you do all that analysis? And I got to imagine that on draft day, it's like Christmas morning, right? I mean, you got to see what your analysis yields, and it's kind of cool. Like, do you feel like kind of sort of an attachment to some of those players that you've done so much work on?
You really do. And then there's of course certain, coaches you already love, and then there's certain players you would like to see them with. Like, I think probably the most animated I got from either Thursday night or Friday night was in the second round when the Rams took Terrence Ferguson. Like, the fit, the player, him playing with Sean McVay, I thought it was so perfect. And it's like you say, you spend so much time with these guys, whether it's, just watching the film or you get to talk to them at the combine and stuff. And then to see them land in a spot where you're like, ooh, that's going to work for that guy. It's very rewarding.
Yeah.
Well, Derrik, what are your thoughts on some of these individual players the Seahawks drafted? But just to start out, what was your overall impression of the Seahawks draft?
I mean, first of all, I think, they obviously went into this offseason trying to enter a new era of Seahawks football. And I think one of the best ways to do something like that is to have as many, cracks at the bat as you possibly can in the draft. And they took 10, 11 players. Like, they had a ton of picks this year, obviously did some wheeling and dealing before the draft and then during the draft. So I kind of love this shotgun approach of just take as many guys as you can and see what sticks. And then in terms of the individual players, I liked a lot of what they did, taking Gray Zabel, where, John Schneider has talked about not investing in guards a whole lot. And so I think for him to, finally spend the first round pick on it, I thought was pretty encouraging. I really like what Elijah Arroyo can be in terms of a move piece for the offense. The Jalen Milroe pick to me is, my line with him is he's not a good player yet, but he's one that I want to bet on anyway. So I kind of love them doing that. And then even a little bit further down the board, like getting guys like Damian Martinez in the 7th round is just like, I really enjoyed a lot of what they did throughout this process here.
Yeah, I heard some of the comps. I don't know if you would remember Pierce Holt, Derek. He was a player back when I played, actually, for the 49ers. That's who they compared Riley Mills to. But then, yeah, you look at some of the, it's kind of like a throwback, type of deal. You see that Oots kid who's going to come in. First of all, I think he's got a mullet and a mustache, which is pretty awesome. But he's going to come in as like a fullback. I mean, it seemed like there's lots of guys that were tough guys, and it very much kind of, I feel like that's the way that Mike Macdonald goes, and that he's very old school as far as that goes. Do you see it that way, or was it? I saw another ranking where it had them as a top 5 as far as athletic ability goes, but it just seemed to me like kind of a grinder, like meat and potatoes type of draft.
I think it was, and it makes sense when you think about where Mike Macdonald has come from, right? He spent a lot of time with the Ravens organization, both, during like the Flacco era, but then obviously during the Lamar Jackson and Greg Roman era, where they were incredibly physical on offense, and that's really what they wanted to be. And then on defense, the body types were kind of all over the place, but then, when Mike Mack was really there and what he was able to do with Kyle Hamilton, having some of the bigger pieces that they had up front, Mike Macdonald, I think, understands that at a very simple level, football is just about being bigger and faster than the other people. And when you look at a lot of the players that they drafted in this class, that's pretty much where they landed. So I like their approach. I think there were a couple of teams in this draft that kind of realized they needed to take their medicine and just get bigger this offseason, and I kind of like the Seahawks taking that approach as well.
Derek, it's interesting because we focus so much on the draft and look at it in a vacuum over these 3+ days, and then you kind of have to build out and realize, all right, well, these guys are just one piece of the actual football team. So all these rookies coming to join the Seahawks, we like the draft, we liked your insight on the draft, but now how do you think all these guys fit in, and what do they do to make this Seahawks team better? I guess my question would be, how much better do you think the Seahawks got in relation to the rest of the NFL? Where would you assess where they are right now?
It's kind of tricky because I think in year one of like this whole new, trying to make things a little bit different than they were last year, I don't know if a whole lot moves the needle here. Like, to me, when I look at a guy like Elijah Arroyo, tight ends in general don't produce very early, but he is a guy who I think is going to be limited early on just because of what he was asked to do at Miami. I think he's going to be a guy where the development path is a little longer. Obviously, you're not going to get a lot from Jalen Milroe. Torrey Horton, even though he's a player I like, is coming off of injury a little bit. So you have a lot of guys here that I don't know if they're going to be immediate contributors, but I really love what their long-term sell is going to be. I think in terms of, like, if I was going to think differently about this Seahawks roster, before the draft and then after the draft, the big thing to me would have been I really wanted to see them attack corner. And that was something they didn't really do. So for as good as I feel about 2026 and 2027 for what this draft does for them, I don't know if it changes how much I feel about them in 2025.
Yeah. Other than that, was there anything or any one player that kind of stood out that was maybe a little bit suspect? I mean, you're not going to agree with everything that they do, but was there any, other than corner, something they missed, or a player that you were kind of like, I think that's a bit of a stretch?
For me, it was probably Nick Emmanwori. Like I said, I really liked a lot of the other picks that they made, but Emmanwori to me was just a play where you look at the size and you look at the athleticism, and it's like, it's unicorn stuff, right? Like, they just don't make safeties that size who can run the way he can. But I look at what he was doing on film, and he's a little bit too stiff to me. I think his feet feel really heavy in coverage at sometimes, especially when he's maybe having to play man coverage over a stack or something like that and really be quick on his toes. So he's the guy where, again, I understand why they saw Kyle Hamilton when you think of the size and the athletic ability and the straight line speed, but there's just such a different fluidity to Hamilton's game that this feels a little bit like them falling into a trap.
Well, some really interesting insight there, Derrik. Once again, we appreciate all the coverage that you guys have, and then, of course, coming on and sharing your insight with us here and all of our listeners. So thanks for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, there is Derrik Klassen, the co-host of the Athletic Football Show. And then, Dave, we had talked to Dane Brugler earlier in the week, and he and that whole staff put together a ton of coverage. So no shortage of draft insight, and the Athletic does a great job, as well as anyone there. And interesting what he said about Emmanwori. I know we can get back to that because there are very split opinions on him. Not as a freak unicorn, like he said, but just in terms of filling a coverage need or how he might be utilized. So interesting to hear that opinion because there's a lot to like and then maybe a lot of unknowns. But there was also one opinion that was kind of surprising. It was a prediction that Daniel Jeremiah made on Brock and Salk that I think when I heard it, I did a double take, and maybe you will as well. We'll listen to that and kind of weigh in on that coming up next. This is Wyman and Bob on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app.
For Down Territory, going inside the game with former Cougs and Seahawks wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
Nick Emmanwori has been compared to Cam Chancellor, but have you heard another one that you think may be a better fit?
He's a mix between Cam Chancellor and a Kyle Hamilton. Kyle Hamilton is a bit better when it comes to covering, and Cam Chancellor was just that pit bull roaming the block, ready to bite anybody who goes across the middle of the field. He has a little bit of both in him.
For Down Territory, every day at 11:15 and 1:15 on Bump and Stacy.
You know, after years of football and the injuries that go with it, my first thought was always go get surgery. Hey, it's Dave Wyman here, but after a consultation with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine, my eyes were open to an alternative to surgery. I'm talking about stem cell therapy with Dr. Wagner. It helps with severe osteoarthritis, including bone-on-bone, loss of cartilage, rotator cuff, labrum, and meniscus tears. And really, it's about getting people back to doing all the activities they love without pain and without surgery. Dr. Wagner's 60-minute outpatient procedure uses your own stem cells, which can regenerate your own cartilage in your own joints. Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, is a board-certified Seattle physician with over 30 years of experience. And get this, he's performed over 20,000 stem cell procedures. And he's one of the few doing it the right way. So whether it's a shoulder, hip, elbow, ankle, wrist, or knee, before choosing surgery, see Dr. Mark Wagner first. Get the facts, then get back in the game at drmarkwagnermd.com.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with a Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com and get ready for the workday.
When the heat's in 11,
cool AC would be heaven.
Dayandnight.net. Beat the rush. Act now before summer, because that heat's a real bummer.
Dayandnight.net.
Even though our Northwest summers can be spectacular, there's always a long, hot stretch that makes everyone say, man, AC sure would be nice. Well, except for that one annoying friend who won't stop talking about how great his AC is. Hi, I'm Bruce with Day and Night Plumbing and Heating. You can stay comfortably cool when those hot temps arrive. This is the time to plan ahead and call us about installing a high-efficiency AC or heat pump. Or if you have an existing system, we'll come and service it. Make sure it's running efficiently and ready to cool when you need it.
Before the summer heat wave.
Keep your house cool and save. Dayandnight.net.
Save up to $4,600 on qualifying cooling equipment. Plus, no payments or interest for a year OAC. Don't sweat it out this summer. Stay cool with Day and Night.
Dayandnight.net.
Bonneville International radio station contests are open to participants 18 years of age or older that are residents of Washington State unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contests are not eligible to win unless the station otherwise specifies at its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 60 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available on seattlesports.com or in person at the station during regular business hours.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Watch your favorite show live at seattlesports.com.
Well, here in our region, it's really common for homes to have damaged insulation or even no insulation at all in their crawl space or attic. Well, in the winter, that'll make your home cold and drafty. And in the summer months, it can turn your home into an oven. It's Mike Salk here, and utility companies have special incentives right now to help with the cost of having your home properly insulated, including a once-in-a-lifetime rebate from Puget Sound Energy. So if you're a PSE customer and your home was built before 1990, you could qualify to receive a rebate on up to 95% of the cost to properly insulate your crawl space and attic. Yes, they will cover up to 95% of the cost. And if you're anything like me, you love the idea of somebody else paying to improve your home, add value to it, and save you money along the way. How good does that sound? Don't wait. Call Crawl Pros to learn what's going on behind that crawl space and attic hatch for free, and then what energy rebates you're eligible for. If you're worried about critters, mold, water damage, insulation issues, or anything else related to your crawl space or attic, schedule a free corner-to-corner inspection at crawlpros.com.
Free consultations, no fee guarantees, 5-star reviews. JP Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains the importance of going beyond these familiar offerings.
Accident victims want an attorney, Tom, that satisfies their needs. Someone who handles those needs with the highest degree of care. Pendergast Law offers the no-fee guarantees and free consultations, but these only scratch the surface.
Okay, explain more.
We make sure that every member of our team is genuinely passionate about helping others. Customer service and communication are our top priority. It's how we take care of our clients so they always feel one step ahead of the insurance companies. Our strong reputation for high standards provides comfort and confidence when it's needed most.
Pendergast Law offers the free consultations, the no-fee guarantees, and, of course, they are 5-star rated. But what really makes them different is their genuine passion for helping others. I can't recommend them enough.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
That's PendergastLaw.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Wyman and Bob.
Weekdays 2 to 7.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Faulty microwave, huh?
Yeah, the microwave was slow today.
The time goes differently on that microwave?
I just do that to annoy Matt. Yeah. So he has to come yell for me.
I've got one host that goes too fast and one host that goes too slow. I need one host that's just right.
You know what, Dave?
Yes.
You can't annoy Matt today.
Why not?
Don't
because
do it.
I'm about
just
to annoy
don't
him.
do it.
Do you know what
Please
today
don't do
is?
it.
It's Matt Nelson's birthday.
Oh, my God. You're kidding. Is it on the water cooler?
No. And you know what? That's suspicious, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I think he had it taken out.
I think so, too.
Wow.
What? No, I would never do something like that. I would never deface company
You're
property.
worse than Bob.
There's a list. We have a nice Bonneville newsletter that gets printed out and posted on the coffee machine. A lot of hard work put in to put that together.
Yeah.
So then you know about all the big events that are happening, work anniversaries, birthdays. It goes up on Monday. It was up there.
Our girl Patty does
Matt
it.
Nelson, his birthday was listed as May 1st. And all of a sudden, I came in today. I had forgotten. And then I realized it was not up there. And that jogged my memory. And I go, oh, that's suspicious. There's no note reminding everyone it's your birthday today.
Well, happy birthday, Matthew.
Happy birthday. I don't need people knowing that.
You try to do something nice.
Yeah, okay.
Craps all over
Not
you.
a happy birthday, I guess,
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
My wishes are, it is your birthday, period. Like in the office. So there you go. Figured you
My wish
appreciate
is
it.
going to be sad birthday. Okay.
Great.
Sad birthday. All right. Well, as Matt would say, don't you have some sports things to talk about?
Yeah,
Which
we do.
We do, because Daniel Jeremiah, when he was on with Brock and Salk, he made an interesting prediction, and I think we've agreed at this point that Jalen Milroe is the most fascinating player in this draft class because of the potential, because they took a quarterback for the first time. technically since Russell Wilson, I'm not going to count Alex Magoo. We knew he wasn't going to make an impact, but only the third quarterback that John Schneider has even drafted. So when you think about that, you think, okay, what's the potential? And Daniel Jeremiah made a bold prediction about Jalen Milroe this season.
Okay, I'm going to say I think Jalen Milroe is going to get a chance to start two or three games. It's just hard. The odds are the odds are your quarterback's going to get nicked up. He's going to miss some time. It's a long season. And this is one of the things I get excited about Milroe, and I understand he's got a long ways to go in terms of his development as a passer. But he's like the perfect skill set to me for such a thing. Like it's, hey, we got, Sam needs a couple weeks. His ribs are messed up. We got to, we can run him out there, and we can just commit to his legs and that style of play for a couple weeks. I don't think initially you couldn't run him out there for much more than that because you're going to need more from him as a passer.
Yeah, that's interesting because I don't hear any talk about Drew Lock.
Right. So for a number of reasons, I'm curious about that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, look, Daniel Jeremiah does a great job. He was obviously in front offices, and he was a scout and all that. But kind of interesting. I guess if I was, I don't know if Brock and Salk asked him, where's that put Drew Lock? But yeah, I would be really surprised if that. And typically, I don't disagree with Daniel Jeremiah. Kind of do on this one. I mean, I don't know how it could end up being that because they really like Drew Lock. John likes Drew Lock.
And not to mention Sam Darnold. So you're hoping that, Sam Darnold would start every game.
But
hopefully.
if he gets nicked up, for a couple of games, okay, that happened a couple of years ago with Geno and Drew Lock. So I think, was there 2 starts in there? I know.
It was Philly and the Cowboys.
Philly?
Or not the Cowboys, no.
No, it was San
Niners.
Fran.
Yeah, Philly and the Niners, yep.
Yeah, and then Tennessee, did he or no?
No.
That you would know that
Geno
one.
Smith had a late touchdown pass.
That's right.
Yeah.
To the tight end that is now in L.A., who went to Stanford, Kobe Parkinson. Yeah. So anyway, we're just trying to impress you with our ability to remember stupid plays from a long time ago. But yeah, I mean, I don't see him doing that, but I do see him. He's 6'2", 225. He's kind of a load. And then I love any kind of, and John, I asked him, I go, hey, can you use this guy in like certain packages, like third down, things like that? And he goes, well, we're going to use him as a weapon. I'm like, ooh, I like that better. That sounds good. But I mean, if you come, I know that everybody's drawn the parallel, but it is pretty valid that, Taysom Hill was with Kubiak at one point and that he was the second leading rusher. He had 39 carries for 280 yards. And also, he picked up 6 touchdowns, 18 first downs, and he had a 7.1 yard average running the ball. So, I mean, I think that could really go a long ways to solving your problems on short yardage.
Well, and I think what's interesting is that Daniel Jeremiah's point there makes for a fascinating conversation about short-term versus long-term. And something that Derrik Klassen actually kind of touched on when he just came on with us, that he wasn't too impressed with the Seahawks improving a lot short-term with this draft class because of where they are. Long-term, he's very excited. So 2026, 2027, it feels like Jalen Milroe this year and short-term, it would not be the best thing for the Seahawks if he's starting a couple of games. You have Darnold. You have a pretty good core here. You don't want to put a guy in who still needs to develop. But long-term, if this is your quarterback of the future, if he gets in and he's able to start a couple of games, maybe in 26 or 27, he's the guy, and he got that experience, and who knows how invaluable that could be. But you might be kind of cutting yourself off at the foot to get him in this year if you're trying to contend this season. So it's an interesting dynamic of, all right, would the best thing for the Seahawks in 2025 be getting Milroe in? But is it better to then project out and say, yeah, long term, if we think we can be much better with him as our quarterback, do you need to get him in?
Yeah, and I also wrote down, what if Sam Darnold has 2 or 3 really good years and wants $75 million or whatever the number is going to be then? You have somebody that you've been developing. The other thing, this would be a good question for our texters, 866-979-3776, is how many of these draft choices do you think start? Because I'm wondering if Derrik Klassen is thinking, okay, Gray Zabel, he's coming from an FCS school. Maybe it will take him a while to get up and running because he's talking about this being a good draft for the future, not the now. And then Emmanwori, he said, some of his skills he thought were, and those are your first 2 picks. So if you're thinking the way he is, and I don't know if he thinks that about Gray Zabel, but He didn't. It wasn't like glowing review of Emmanwori, right?
Oh, I would think Gray Zabel's his one, like, surefire. And then it sounded like, you're right, no one else, though.
Yeah.
No one else is probably a starter this year.
Yeah, but I mean, if he's thinking that it's a long-term thing, that would be the only reason that I would see for Gray Zabel, is that he came from an I'll say this. You look at the competition that he's playing against. If you go and look at his games and some of the guys that he's blocking, it reminded me of Michael Jarrell, not quite that bad, because Michael Jarrell from Finlay from last year is a 5th-round pick. He you look at the competition, and it looks like number one, he's playing in high school stadiums, and then number two, they look like high school defensive ends, and he's just tossing them around, and that. But I just think for Zabel, it wasn't so much about the effect of his blocking. It was how smooth he was. I saw him pass off a stunt better than I've ever seen anybody do that. It was just so automatic to him, and that was something like Anthony Bradford, for example. He has problems with that. And a lot of times, if the guy disappears in front of you, there's somebody coming from that direction, and he just never could pick that up. But yeah, I mean, the reason why I think Zabel is a short-term, like right away, day one starter is just because of, you see how balanced he is, how good he is at, like I said, passing off stunts. He doesn't give his blocks away. He doesn't have any tells, pre-snap. That was a linebacker's job, right? I mean, I had a guy named Brian Millard that used to kind of help me out a little bit. He was a guard that played for the Seahawks, and he was kind of borderline Pro Bowl guy. And and he would always give me tips, and we would talk a lot about what you look for. And as far as Zabel goes, I mean, you didn't see any kind of tell at all. So he's just a very advanced player. But I think I think he's going to be a day one starter.
Well, Dave, you did your deep dive on the Seahawks' first 3 picks. Coming up, we're going to get your next 3 deep dive analysis of the Seahawks picks of Jalen Milroe, Riley Mills, and Torrey Horton. That comes up next here on Wyman and Bob on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app.
Mariners have won 7 series in a row.
Baseball's hottest team does it again.
They're getting it from so many different places. You got J.P. Crawford. You got Leo Rivas.
Tell me about Samad Taylor's bunt.
Oh, that was sexy.
With momentum at their back, the M's look to keep rolling tomorrow night. Mariners, Rangers. Pre-game at 4 after Wyman and Bob. First pitch at 5:05 on Seattle Sports. Listen on 710 or the Seattle Sports app.
Hi, this is Nancy Penrose, owner of Big Trees in Snohomish. Spring has sprung. Need color to brighten up your yard or privacy trees to keep your neighbors guessing? Now is the time to buy. With hundreds of trees arriving in the nursery daily, Big Trees has the perfect tree for you. Check out our updated inventory list online at bigtreesupply.com or come visit the nursery today.
Need a new roof, a deck, siding, windows? Get up to $3,000 off any new installation. Hi, it's Justin Shirley, CEO of State Roofing and Exteriors. Home projects can add up fast, but we're here to help you save big. Book now and lock in up to $3,000 off in savings. That's $3,000 off any new installation. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com to schedule your free estimate today. State Roofing and Exteriors, held to a higher standard since 1968.
Hey there, I'm Jack.
And I'm Stag.
We're just 2 deer that want to make sure you know it's deer season at your authorized John Deere dealer. The deer season that saves bucks. You know, like us.
Yeah, you can get $3,000 off select John Deere machines. No early wake-up calls or tree stands required.
Just a trip to your authorized dealer before June 2nd.
If you ask us, it's the only deer season worth celebrating.
Visit johndeere.com/deer season to find an authorized dealer and for complete finance details.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling.
I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-8157. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-8157. That's 800-575-8157. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Lens Enterprises reminds parents the fatal crash rate for teens peaks at age 19, and we lose nearly 8 kids every day. Make a family agreement to never drive under the influence of alcohol or drugs, text behind the wheel, or ride with anyone who is. Always designate a sober driver, call a parent or rideshare for a safe ride home. Best wishes to the class of 2025 from the entire team at Lens Enterprises, providing sustainable solutions for landscapes, farms, and gardens since 1976. Online at lens-enterprises.com.
Dave Wyman here for my friends at Harley Exteriors, a local company serving all of Western Washington for the past 23 years. I'm really excited to work with Harley Exteriors because they're my kind of people. I had Ray, Chris, and Nick out to my house just to see what they could do for us. You see, we've been in the same house for 24 years, and virtually every window in our home has a broken seal. Harley Exteriors has an exclusive high-quality Euro vinyl Olympic Series window manufactured right here in Washington, and these windows are designed specifically for homes in the Pacific Northwest, helping to maximize energy, efficiency, and beauty. It's a window you can trust to last the life of your home. Very affordable with options like 0 payments and 0 interest up to 12 months for qualified buyers. Through April, buy one window and get the second for 40% off. Harley Exteriors are big fans of the station, and they're excited to work with our listeners, and I'm proud to be working with Ray, Chris, and Nick. It's a team you can get behind. Call 833-HARLEY or go to harleyexteriors.com.
Eric Johnson here. I covered a lot of accidents over the past 30 years or so, but I never got to say much about what to do after a crash. Be honest, do you know what evidence to collect, what pictures to take, what documents to request, or what you shouldn't say to your insurance company? The Washington Accident Book Series is a must-have for drivers who want to be prepared for whatever the roads throw at them. Know your rights and how to avoid common mistakes after an accident by getting your free copy at WashingtonAccidentBooks.com.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
Well, Seahawks have officially announced jersey numbers for their rookie class. Some notable ones include Gray Zabel wearing number 76. That came with, I think, and I guess, permission of Steve Hutchinson, who helped in the evaluation and draft process of Zabel. And then another notable one, Emmanwori will wear number 3 for the first time since Russell Wilson wore it here in Seattle. Meanwhile, the Mariners begin a series in Texas tomorrow night, 5:05 first pitch. The Rangers are reeling right now. They've lost 3 of 4 to the A's, including being shut out this afternoon. Brian Wu on the mound for the M's, Jack Leiter for the Rangers. And today was the deadline to exercise fifth-year options for first-round picks, the 2022 draft class. Only 6 were declined. Some notable ones, including tackle Evan Neal by the Giants and quarterback Kenny Pickett by the Browns.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time.
This hour is serviced by the Lee Johnson Auto family.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Wyman and Bob.
On Seattle Sports.
Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton.
Mike Lefko and Dave Wyman here with you on a pretty glorious Thursday afternoon. It's nice outside. The Mariners are coming off a 7th straight series win. The Seahawks have rookie minicamp going on. And Dave, I know you have a Jersey story to get to. I just want to follow up on this, that the reason we're talking about Emmanwori is an answer that he gave you and Bob when you interviewed him on Monday. And you asked him about the jersey number that he was going to wear.
It's been a little bit of discussion, but I'm still kind of like trying to figure that out. I know a lot of single-digit numbers are taken in Seattle. There's a couple free. There's a couple numbers in like the 20s. There's a number in the 30s. But still in discussion about that. So when I get up here Thursday, I'll figure out what number I'm probably going to rock. I got to, see it on my body. My body got to accept the number.
His body has to accept the number.
That's funny, but also when he said a couple free, I thought he said a couple three.
Yeah, I know. You
I'm
thought
like,
someone else
he's
finally
old
used
school.
that term.
I like this kid. Couple three. Also, it would have indicated that maybe he knew what jersey was coming.
There was the slip. He kind of knew in his mind he wanted 3. And you thought he said 3.
Yeah,
so there you go.
But I was just in the bathroom, and Spike O'Neill from the FM side, I was telling him about the Emmanwori number, and I'm like, number 3, can you believe it? And he goes, oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I can repurpose my number 3 jersey. And I was like, oh, so you're gonna go from Russell to Emmanwori? And he's like, no, this is Rick Meyer. He had a Rick Meyer jersey that he said he already repurposed into a Russell Wilson jersey, but also it's got to be a throwback, right? I mean, that's back
just,
in the day.
Like you would say, it just was a jersey. They don't even call them throwbacks. That's what you used to joke about yours.
It's
just my jersey.
Yeah. So anyway, it was just funny, but that was kind of interesting that number 3. I mean, I don't know that maybe nobody else wanted it, or maybe they just out of respect to Russ, although Russ left in a very disrespectful way. I don't know. I don't know why nobody's been number 3, right?
Yeah.
We have not seen that. So anyway, I thought it was kind of interesting, and it's cool for him because he got a single digit, which is what he wanted.
That's what he wanted. Matt, I was just concerned when Dave started his story with, I was in the bathroom.
No good stories ever start that way.
Yeah. I was just passing somebody in the bathroom. Nothing else. No more details needed.
By the way, I did make this joke yesterday, but I'm going to make it again. It's a different audience, perhaps. Maybe they didn't hear it. But is Ben Williamson now on your tier of favorite players after talking about how he crapped his pants before he made his MLB debut?
I love that. First of all, he looked like he was going to crap his pants when we were interviewing him because he was like, I mean, I think everything's new to him. He's a rookie, and you don't realize how young he is. You watch him play, and he was like a totally different character standing there talking to us in the clubhouse, because you see him out there and he's so confident, and that's like his realm and where he just dominates. And I asked him about that play where he kind of wrapped around the third base and threw the ball, and he just made it look so easy. And he just looks confident out there and everything. But we went to interview him and he kind of looked terrified. But I mean, everything's new for him. And we got him to loosen up a little bit. I think he was kind of nervous. We got somebody, Justin's over there filming him, and
we have like 8 things in his face. We have a phone, we have a camera, we have this roving mic. So I get it.
You shoved him into the dark corner
put him
over
in the
there.
Corner there. You and I are just staring daggers at him. It's a big moment. I get it. Major League Baseball, nah. Talking to Wyman and Bob, that's intimidating.
Yeah. Well, like I said, that's his realm out there. I mean, he's comfortable, and when I'm watching him play and everything, I don't see him as like a young guy. I mean, he looks the part and everything, but then when you see him like in street clothes, you're like, yeah, this guy's really young. And I think he's 23, but I mean, he looks entirely different on the field. I love that.
Well, we will talk about the Mariners a little bit more coming up in the show, but we have to get to I guess I'm going to officially call it Dave's Draft Deep Dive. I don't know if we have a name for it. If that's okay, if that works, we're going to fit in as many
4Ds.
of the alliterative processes as we can. Yeah,
sure.
4Ds there. You talked about the first 3 picks of the Seahawks a couple days ago. Now we have Jalen Milroe, Riley Mills, and Torrey Horton. Let's start with Milroe. Just what jumps out when you see this guy?
Yeah, we kind of talked a little bit about that with Daniel Jeremiah, and he said something about starting a couple of games, and I just thought, look, we can't forget about Darnold. Like that's the quarterback. And I was just texting somebody that they said, hey, what about putting him in for a couple of series? And I don't know, it may work out that way, but I think you just have to think about who your quarterback is. I mean, we're all excited right now, right? But the fact is he's a 3rd round draft choice who's a rookie. So I mean, that sounds like Russ, right? But I don't think he is as polished as Russ was coming out of Wisconsin. And, Russell Wilson was just, he was. And I know John talked about his leadership, and he was down. I think they played Oregon in the Rose Bowl when he was at Wisconsin. And John was down on the field, and he said he was just blown away by Russ and his ability to command the huddle and the game and everything. So, I don't know that Jalen Milroe is there. I mean, I think he's got command and leadership and all that stuff. But, he threw for 2,800 yards. He was 64%, and he threw 16 touchdowns and 11 picks. But he ran 168 times for 726 yards and 20 touchdowns. So, that's pretty. I mean, I think he's going to be kind of like in a package with Taysom Hill, or as John would call him, a weapon like Taysom Hill, because Taysom Hill, and I don't know if we ran through these stats before, but 39 carries for 278 yards last year, 6 touchdowns, 18 first downs. That's what really kind of perked my ears up. That and the 7.1 yard average. That I'm a huge fan of running the quarterback, but he's got to be have that ability. I don't think Darnold is necessarily the greatest runner or scrambler or anything. He has other attributes, but for this kid, 6'2", 225, and somebody was saying they thought he was better. Was it maybe Daniel Jeremiah that said he thought he was a better runner than Jalen Hurts? Somebody at some point.
Oh, really?
Or maybe it was Derrik Klassen.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, wow, that's a pretty high, comparison there. If you want him to, just come in every once in a while for that thing, because that was the thing last year that just drove me nuts, was the short yardage situations. I mean, I know they lost the Ram game because of that. There might have been a couple other ones there, maybe the Giants, I want to say, or Buffalo. There were lots of times where they needed to pick up a first down, just couldn't move people. So, now I'm a huge fan of, usually quarterback hands the ball off and he's a dead player, and now you've got 11 on 11. And I just think there's a tremendous advantage there. So that's kind of what I see him doing. And in the meantime, I think he can sit there and develop behind Sam Darnold.
Well, I'm sure Jalen Milroe will be probably the talk of the offseason, just because it's a quarterback, and it's such an interesting discussion because you have not had this situation in a long time. And the fact that, you make the comparison of 2012 because that's the only other time this has popped up for the Seahawks, whereas other teams, they cycle through quarterbacks every 2 to 3 years. So it's been a luxury the Seahawks haven't had to worry about, and they're not really in a worrisome situation right now. But Milroe will continue to be a fascinating topic of discussion this offseason and then throughout the season as well. What about the next guy here, Riley Mills, a guy that you and Bob talked to on Monday? We know about the injury. He discussed it with you guys, and he talked about it in his draft call as well with the local reporters. So knowing that he's coming off an ACL injury, what are your expectations for him maybe this year and then perhaps in the future? Yeah,
I think that definitely falls into Daniel, or was it Klassen?
Derrik Klassen, yep.
Yeah, that said, for the long term. Certainly Riley Mills. They were the only team that brought him in for a 30 visit. And the other thing, there was a kind of an interesting medical part of it because he did hurt his knee and had surgery at the end of the season last year. It was in one of the bowl games against Indiana. Mm-hmm. But it was almost like it was like miraculous to them. I mean, from what they had at the combine and apparently he's a fast healer. Like, remember we said that about Luke Wilson, but yeah, there was a huge difference of where they thought that would be. Now, I don't think that means he starts the season by any means, but maybe he comes back a little bit, maybe it's mid-season or the first part of next season, just because I know when they did the analysis on his knee, it was much more positive. So, and then the other thing is he's known to be is very versatile. He can play anywhere along the line. Yeah, and that's really it's kind of like Big Cat. And I remember John saying that before they got Leonard Williams, that they're like, he can play all over the line. He can play on the outside. He can come off the edge, and that's the same thing with Riley Mills. And I saw him come off the edge, and that was another thing that John told me. Like, he's a scout at heart, right? He started off as a scout. He was like, he has really strong hands. I'm like, his hands are strong? Well, I saw evidence of it, man. He beat a tackle on the inside and then just grabbed just the barely the tip of his sleeve and just yanked him to the ground. So apparently that's true. His comp, he was really excited to compare him to Pierce Holt, who was just like, if you see him now, like he's a cowboy that lives out on the range. And, if you ever look up Pierce Holt, he's kind of interesting player, but I think he played 8 years in the league about the time I played. And he was just very versatile, could play up and down the line, just a tough guy. So that was his comparison. But, I think that's the big thing that teams were shying away from Riley Mills about, and why he got picked in the 5th round at number 142. And I don't know where he would have gotten selected, I guess the next Seahawk pick at 166. But, there was a lot of teams that probably were going to stay away from him.
You got me very distracted by looking up Pierce Holt, because I did. And yes, the first thing that comes up, you were exactly right. One of the first things that pops up when you search Pierce Holt is an interview he did with someone called Farm Diggity. Farm Diggity with Pierce Holt. Grit, teamwork, and good women.
Yeah.
And a good women's heart.
Well, he's been married
since... It's not even titled correctly.
He's been married since he was in high school.
It only has 700 views.
He married his high school sweetheart, Pierce Holt did. So, I watched I watched a good portion of that. And he's just a very old school guy. So that's why I think John was excited about that. And he was like, don't you think that's cool? And I'm like, I don't really remember Pierce Holt. I ended up looking him up. And he certainly has strong hands. There's no question about that.
Well, and Daniel Jeremiah, when he was on with Brock and Salk yesterday, he mentioned that his favorite day 3 pick for the Seahawks was Riley Mills.
My favorite pick, there's 2 of them, but I need Riley Mills to just come back and be healthy. If he can come back and be healthy, he would have been in my top 50 players. When I watched him on tape and he was healthy at Notre Dame, I thought he was a top 50 pick. I loved him.
Wow.
So, and then you find out all the, like, you talk to the people at Notre Dame and like the wiring stuff. I mean, the guy driving to go see the team in Atlanta, because he couldn't fly with the surgery. Like, all that stuff's really, really good. So he reminded me, and it was funny because I talked to all my buddies and we all worked together with the Ravens, and now everybody's scattered throughout the league in different roles. We all liked Riley Mills. Like, that was kind of all our guy, because he kind of felt like a guy we'd been around with the Ravens.
That was quite a story. Remember that? He told you guys that too. The 25-hour RV with the dog. Yeah. As you and Bob made a point to ask him about there.
I think he said his dad's dog.
Yeah. His dad, his girlfriend, his whole family, and the dog came along for a 25-hour trip. So, there's Riley Mills, who, coming off an injury like another guy that you profiled, Torrey Horton, fell to the 5th round as well. He is coming off a knee injury, an unspecified knee injury that ended his 2024 season in October. But what stands out when you look at Torrey Horton?
Yeah, you can look at it. He's very smooth. He's kind of a long strider, and he's a pretty big guy, 6'2", 185 pounds. You saw he ran a 4.41 at the combine, and he looked pissed. He was like shaking his head, like, damn. So I think he's run some faster 40s than that. He wasn't happy with that. But you look at a guy over his career. He's had over 100 yards 13 times in receptions and reception yardage. That was at Colorado State and then also Nevada Reno. So, I think here's the thing about him, and this isn't a knock on him specifically. I think it's for receivers in general that it's hard. We were interviewing somebody, and I'm trying to remember. I asked you this earlier, but it was probably like 5 years ago, and he was saying, when's the last time you saw like an all-pro rookie wide receiver? And we started looking it up at the time, and maybe that has happened since then. But it's tougher for receivers to make it into the next level. So to me, I'm looking at some of his route running. He cuts some routes off. It's not like he's running super sharp routes. There's not like a lot of quick twitch type of thing, but I think he'll develop into that. I end up really liking him just because you look at the the speed, and he does have enough speed to like take the top off of defense. But, I think it's just going to be hard for him to get, like it is for every receiver, to get all of the landmarks down. The field's different. Then you have to be more exact, more precise. And so, I think he's a good pick there. And, we talked about them not having that speed. I think MVS is pretty fast, but, Cooper Kupp, you got Jake Bobo, you got, and I don't JSN, it's not exactly like a speed burner, but he's plenty fast. So, and really all that matters is that you have what JSN has, and he just has an ability to get open. So, we'll see with Torrey Horton. I just think I'm always kind of skeptical with rookie wide receivers, but I don't think it was a bad pick or anything. I just think, he's going to have some work to put in.
Well, and Dane Brugler of The Athletic, who his colleague Derrik Klassen mentioned how incredible he is in the draft process with the beast that he churns out. When he talked to you guys on Monday, he really liked Horton, called it one of his 2 steals of the draft for the Seahawks.
Even on day 3, Torrey Horton was one of the steals of the draft to get him where they did in the 5th round, to help kind of fill out their wide receiver depth chart. I won't be surprised if Horton's really pushing for starting reps at some point this year as a rookie. And then I love Bryce Cable, the guard from Kansas, who the college tackle, in a lot of ways, kind of the maybe a day 3 version of Zabel, where he's explosive, moves well. There's a competitive edge to the way he plays. And he was my top-rated non-combine guy this year. And so I thought the Seahawks did well nabbing him in the 6th.
Well, there's kind of a tease. Are you going to keep going through all of the picks? You're going to get to Cable Do at some point on this video series?
Yeah, I hadn't planned on it, Mike, but thanks for just, making me have to work for the next.
Well, all right. I'm going to make Dave work more.
How many more picks are there? Like 4 or 5? I'm going to send some to you.
No, I didn't.
No, we'll take a look at them.
Yeah, are you doing everyone, or do you have a cutoff? Are you?
I'm lazy, Mike, by nature, so I'll probably just cut it off.
You farm that off. You farm the rest of the day 3 picks off to your assistant. So we'll have someone
I'll
else
just send it to Moyer because he's always going to just like correct me at the end anyway. Like he always has to have the last word and last text and.
So we'll get to Cable Do eventually and kind of dive more into him, but that's a little bit of a tease from Brugler. What's interesting, Dave, is that those 2 guys that you just talked about, though, Riley Mills and Torrey Horton, it seems like a lot is contingent upon them recovering from injury, which for the Seahawks, that's not necessarily something we talk about because you mentioned last draft, there are guys that they just take off their board. Like the running back Tajay Spears, who ended up going to the Titans. The Seahawks didn't have them on their board. And Latu, who we've talked about, they didn't have him on their board. So here are guys actually recovering from injuries, but it seems like there must be something that they're confident in that they can make an impact recovering from those injuries.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because it's not like, if the guy has an ACL, it's pretty straightforward. Mm-hmm. It's going to take you a long time to get back from it, but it's not like, if you got rid of every player or every prospect because he'd had a knee injury, you wouldn't have many players left. So I think it just matters how what kind of stuff. Now the 2 guys that you mentioned Latu, right?
Yeah.
And who was the other one?
Tajay Spears.
Yeah,
a couple
Spears.
Years ago, yeah.
Forgot about that. And I loved him. I thought he was great coming out of college. And I don't know how he's done for your Titans, but obviously not good enough. Yeah.
Any Titans players, they're not good.
But Tajay Spears had no ACL in one of his knees, or maybe it was both, or he had a couple of knee surgeries, but the guy did not have an ACL. That's supposed to sort of keep your knee intact. I don't know.
How does your knee bend without that?
Well, it's a stability thing. Like, how does it not keep slipping out? But I guess he has a brace and it's worked for him. But so that's kind of where they drew the line. And then the other thing with Latu was like, he had a neck injury and the Huskies, Washington's football program, failed him. They weren't going to let him play football for the University of Washington. So he goes to UCLA, and I guess they found a doctor that would pass him. And, I wasn't super aware of what kind of a year he had. But coming out of college, he was the most refined pass rusher I've seen in a long time. Unbelievable. So, yeah, I thought he was worthy of that pick, but not. So there are certain things, is my point. It's not like every guy that has a knee injury is not going to make it onto the Seahawks roster. You get hurt all the time playing. It's just a matter of how was that handled, what kind of surgery did you have, and everybody has different experiences. Remember with Charlie Furbush,
yep.
He was talking about some procedure he had that didn't work for him. So, and it's all doctors are different, and so they have their high standards. So I think it's more that than anything. It's not like they're not going to draft somebody just because they have a knee injury.
I feel bad, but it also was a little funny when you and Charlie were just comparing surgeries. Like, remember that one? And remember that one? Oh, yeah. Or when you and Schlereth talk and then compete to see who had the worst recoveries from all those surgeries.
It's a competition you don't want to win.
No. Who's winning that one?
Yeah,
Schlereth?
Exactly. Well, he's supposedly had like 22 knee surgeries.
Oof.
Yeah, so, and I don't know if he inflated that or not, but probably not.
Yeah. No, probably not. You think that's accurate? Wow.
Yeah.
Ooh,
probably.
22?
Well, see, here's the thing. I had a couple of surgeries where they went back in and did like a cleanup.
Okay.
So I guess I count that one, but they're still, if they're, penetrating your knee with a scalpel and some kind of a tool, I call that a knee surgery.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
22 more than I've had, knock on wood. So
okay,
there
good.
we go.
I'm glad to hear that.
There's one potential kind of uncertainty that we'll get to a little bit later in the show, or it can be a conversation that we'll revisit as the season plays out, because like we talked about with linebacker and cornerback, offensive line, you had some spots to fill. You have some depth, but not at every position. So there is some, concern. Maybe there wasn't enough done to fix the offensive line. Daniel Jeremiah had some stuff on that we can get into a little bit later. But we're going to turn it back to Mariners because, well, I guess, we're talking about injuries. And the injuries, they have kind of piled up for this Mariners team, both in the pitching staff and in the lineup. So we'll kind of dive into what's reassuring and what might be concerning long-term for this M's team. It's Mike Lefkoe and Dave Wyman with you here on Wyman and Bob. This is Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app.
Brock and Salk, morning 6 to 10.
Jeff Passan of ESPN, who joins us.
Where is Cal in the pantheon of the best catchers in baseball right now?
I think he's at the top of the list, right? Just at this point, I'm not sure who else is there. What we're seeing, though, is the guy who the Mariners gave $100 million guaranteed to.
Brock and Salk, morning 6 to 10 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
Hey, have you been considering surgery or even joint replacement? It's Dave Wyman here. After years of football, I know all about bad knees. So I recently had a consultation with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. I've heard so many patients rave about stem cell therapy with Dr. Wagner. People with severe osteoarthritis, even bone on bone. They're back hiking, jogging, playing tennis, skiing, golfing, even going up and down the stairs, playing with the kids and grandkids, and doing it without pain and without surgery. Dr. Wagner's 60-minute outpatient procedure uses your own stem cells, which can regenerate your own cartilage in your own joints. Dr. Mark Wagner is a board-certified Seattle physician with over 30 years of experience, and he's performed over 20,000 stem cell procedures. So this guy knows what he's doing, and he's one of the few doing it the right way. So whether it's a shoulder, hip, elbow, ankle, wrist, or knee, before choosing surgery, see Dr. Mark Wagner first. Get the facts, then get back in the game at drmarkwagnermd.com.
Bundy Carpets reminds parents the fatal crash rate for teens peaks at age 19, and we lose nearly 8 kids every day. Parents, please make a family agreement to never drive under the influence of alcohol or drugs, text behind the wheel, or ride with anyone who is. Always designate a sober driver, call a parent or rideshare for a safe ride home. Best wishes to the class of 2025 from the entire team at Bundy Carpets, a second-generation family-owned business celebrating 50 years of serving Marysville. Online at bundycarpets.com.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, because you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh, yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
When you switch to Progressive, you could save bundling your home and auto. Then you could put that money towards some of the surprisingly more expensive things in life.
May I help you?
I just wanted to request a late checkout, please.
Of course. That's $30 per hour for up to 4 hours.
Huh. Okay, but if you can offer a late checkout, then that probably means no one is staying in that room. So if it's empty, maybe I can just stay a few extra hours.
Oh, aren't you adorable?
Life costs a lot, so bundle and you could save with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Subscribe to the Seattle Sports YouTube page to find new and exclusive content from your favorite shows and personalities daily. Just head to YouTube, search Seattle Sports, and click subscribe.
Dave Wyman here for my friends at Harley Exteriors, a local company serving all of Western Washington for the past 23 years. I'm really excited to work with Harley Exteriors because they're my kind of people. I had Ray, Chris, and Nick out to my house just to see what they could do for us. You see, we've been in the same house for 24 years, and virtually every window in our home has a broken seal. Harley Exteriors has an exclusive high-quality Euro vinyl Olympic Series window manufactured right here in Washington, and these windows are designed specifically for homes in the Pacific Northwest, helping to maximize energy, efficiency, and beauty. It's a window you can trust to last the life of your home. Very affordable with options like 0 payments and 0 interest up to 12 months for qualified buyers. Through April, buy one window and get the second for 40% off. Harley Exteriors are big fans of the station, and they're excited to work with our listeners, and I'm proud to be working with Ray, Chris, and Nick. It's a team you can get behind. Call 833-HARLEY or go to harleyexteriors.com.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
I can't believe how spotless my floors look after using the Swiffer Power Mop. No more dragging around a heavy mop and messy bucket. Now I get the same deep clean without all the work. Thanks to the powerful solution and scrubbing pad of the Swiffer Power Mop, dirt and grime don't stand a chance, and I don't break a sweat. Mic drop. Mop drop.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop.
A smarter way to mop. Try it or your money back.
This hour is serviced by the Lee Johnson Auto family.
Wyman and Bob.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
Weekdays 2 to 7.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
We got another edition of the Raleigh Show dropping at 5 o'clock. Cal and Shannon. Good
Awesome
stuff there. We had to play.
Shannon does a great job.
Yeah, she's able to kind of find these interesting anecdotes and get Cal to really share some insight on it. Like the torpedo bat conversation a couple weeks ago. I didn't even know different types of wood were so important in bats, that players really cared that much. So, he said he uses a birch bat to bat left-handed and maple to bat right-handed. Now, that's probably not even a discussion for a lot of players because you're not usually a switch hitter. We have a handful on every team, but for Cal Raleigh to have the preference of a little bit different weight and different wood for each bat, it was really fascinating to learn.
Yeah, I never would have thought of that it went into that kind of detail. The other thing is, I never thought you would hear that come out of Cal's mouth because remember our first interview with him. And, he was kind of like Ben Williamson. He was a young guy. How old is Cal now? Was he like
27?
27?
Yeah,
so that was, I don't know, he was probably 23, 24 years old, and he was just kind of short on
28.
words. He's
Very
28
old,
now.
yeah. 28.
Yeah, that's a sweet spot right there.
Yeah.
I'd kill to be 28. I'd kill you to be 28, Lefko. Matt would like that one.
All right.
But
I'm feeling a little threatened, Dave. An unwelcome work environment.
Well,
I'm going to go back and sit with Matt, and that'll make him really thrilled.
No, you're not. It's too nice back here today.
Yeah, Matt likes it in there alone by himself.
That's my birthday present to him.
But
I said, you know what? It's your birthday. I'm going to come sit in here for 4 hours.
My present is the lack of your presence.
Yes. There you go. Wordplay.
Yeah.
So Cal, yeah.
Anyway, Cal, yeah, he just now, and Shannon does a great job. Some people have kind of a knack for that. I have found that interviewing people, it's hit or miss. Like every once in a while, you can hit a home run by taking kind of a chance, like a gamble of either bringing something up, or there was one time early on when we had a Mariner player on. And my dad was telling me how his friend knew this guy, and they were really good friends. And so whoever the player was, we were interviewing. I was like, "Hey, so tell me about this guy," and blah blah blah. And he's like, "I've never heard of that guy."
Oh,
and that was it.
Wow.
That was boom, and it was just very awkward. So, like I said, sometimes you know, when you interview, you're taking, if you take some shots, you can sometimes get a big reward, but then also you can get crickets.
Well, you, awkward, and a Mariners player. There's only one thing that comes to mind.
Ty, I wish you were out here. I took a picture of your photo on the San Diego State website when you were in college, and the picture looks like you're 12.
Now we ended that clip, but there was about 5 more seconds.
Was that
of
you,
silence.
Matt? Did you dig that up, or was it numbnuts here?
Yeah, this one.
I've never heard that before in my life. What was your goal there?
I have no idea. No idea. I'm just like, wow, he looks young.
But the best part, Matt, was that Ty France, this was on the phone, but he was sitting within eyesight because he was sitting out kind of in the outfield, and we were out at Edgar's. So they're looking at him, and Dave's just staring at Ty France, just nothing. No movement, no reaction.
Got nothing.
Sits there back towards Dave and Bob because he didn't know where they were, but just no reaction. Stonewalled him.
Well, I said sometimes you hit a home run. I was not expecting anything on that one. But yeah, Bob sort of bailed me out with a little bit of a giggle there.
And I think I edited out a couple seconds of silence.
Yeah.
But yeah. And I know Bob regrets that. He just wanted you to hang out there and see what Ty France would have said.
Bob was being a good teammate.
Bob was helping out with a little awkward laugh to save you. But you're right.
Okay,
Sometimes
that's a
you
bad
get
example of what I was talking about. That one was just stupid. But, you know, every once in a while you hit on something and then they just – but, yeah, Shannon has an ability to do that. Who's the guy, Graham Bensinger?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that guy is pretty much – he's famous for being a good interviewer. And I'm trying to – like I listen to him and, like, the kind of questions he asks. Maybe it's the tempo and the way that he talks or whatever. But he just gets – like, he cracks people open. It's unbelievable. It's a special talent.
Now, you guys do a nice job of that, you and Bob, with the Seahawks players and Mariners players. You know, you find the personal side of it. You make them relax. So, for the most part, I would say 98% of the time, you do a good job, and then you have the little blip there. But, you know, there's the risk.
Who pulled that up? You or
I
him?
pulled this out. Yeah, I pulled it up. Matt had never heard the clip
I would have
before.
thought Matt.
Yeah.
I would have thought Matt on that one.
It's just something that is just kind of an iconic moment when you talk about this show and interviewing Mariners players.
You know, it really was like, I don't blame people if they want to text in 866-979-3776 and tell me that was the stupidest thing to say ever. Because it really was. I'm like, who is that guy?
Well, what made me think of it is yesterday, after we were talking to Williamson, and you kept saying he looked like he was 12.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, oh, Dave, let's not go
Let's
down
there.
this path again.
Yeah.
But as we're talking about the Mariners, what we were going to talk about before getting sidetracked, promoting the Cal Raleigh Show with Shannon coming up at 5. And we were talking about Cal Raleigh and it just went down a path. But there is some maybe optimistic news regarding injuries for the Mariners because a lot of it's been negative and a lot of it has been very concerning. With the update that Justin Hollander gave on Luke Raley yesterday, he's out for 6 weeks. He's shut down for 6 weeks, and then he's going to have to start rehab. Logan Gilbert, we know he's in the process of being shut down for 2 weeks, and then they have to evaluate because he suffered the flexor strain grade 1, which is the lowest that we learned from Jeff Passan. He suffered that on Friday. So a lot of concerning things, but one piece of good news came from Dan Wilson Tuesday before the Angels game in regards to George Kirby.
Yeah, George had a simulated game yesterday, a live BP session here at T-Mobile, and looked really, really strong. I know he's been feeling good. He's been around the club here the last several days, especially over the weekend. And it's good to see him. Good to see him around here, smiling face, and got out on the mound yesterday at T-Mobile. Able to throw the ball very well and putting together now the plan for him going forward. Looking forward to getting him back out and back into our rotation just as soon as possible.
Kirby's smiling
He
face.
can smile, Dave. He's not always furious, George. Just most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, you always see him so intense, man. And yeah, he was. I feel sorry for him. There's nothing worse than being injured. Especially, I think it's got to be really frustrating for pitchers, just because, it's such a. Those things are so delicate. Your elbow and your shoulder, and you're just contorting them in just the worst possible ways.
And that happened when we were down there for spring training. So it's been a while for George Kirby. And I'm sure he is itching to get back out there. So that's the good news. And, it does feel like, Dave, if he can come back and have this kind of impact that Brian Wu did last year. So Wu didn't start his season until like May 10th, and he had a great year for the Mariners.
That's a good point.
So I guess the hope is, hey, you can get George Kirby, and that takes away one concern from this rotation, because you have two unknowns right now with Gilbert and with Kirby. But if Kirby can do that, that's a huge boost for this team.
Also, what about Matt Brash?
He's going to come back at any moment, too,
At some point. So hopefully, by mid-season, it just seems like it's so far away. And you just, when you start getting pitchers hurt, it just makes you just panic almost. But, if they can, by the middle of the season, get those three guys all back, I'm not very hopeful about Raleigh. I've never seen anybody have that kind of reaction. I mean, I've seen, players practice and everything, and, they come off the field and they're kind of like, something's tightening up on me or whatever. But that one dropped him to the ground.
Yeah, it was so visceral.
Yeah.
For such a big, powerful guy.
Right.
Too.
Yeah, so just a big dude who's tough, and man, that looked really bad. And then seeing Robles in there with that whole contraption with his shoulder, I don't see him coming back this year.
The mood is great, and I know he told Shannon he is trying for some time after the All-Star break, but we'll see.
That would be
You're
incredible.
right. It looked scary in the moment when that happened against the Giants, and the contraption that you described, it's not a good sign of returning soon, but hey, it's only May 1st. The All-Star break's in July, so you could get him for a couple months this season, perhaps. We'll see. But there was some potentially good news there with George Kirby. He should be back in the rotation, hopefully within a couple of weeks. So we'll see what that does for this Mariners team, who they have an off day today. They begin a series against the Rangers tomorrow at 5:05. Pregame coverage begins at 4 o'clock here on Seattle Sports. We have to talk about the fallout, though, that happened on the Shedeur Sanders prank phone call. It was kind of a storyline of the NFL draft. There was big fallout for the Falcons and their franchise. We'll hear about that when we sweep the dial. Coming up on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app.
Mariners have won 7 series in a row.
Baseball's hottest team does it again.
They're getting it from so many different places. You got J.P. Crawford, you got Leo Rivas.
Tell me about Samad Taylor's bunt.
Oh, that was sexy.
With momentum at their back, the M's look to keep rolling tomorrow night. Mariners, Rangers. Pregame at 4 after Wyman and Bob. First pitch at 5:05 on Seattle Sports. Listen on 710 or the Seattle Sports app.
Are you looking at diversification and stability with your investment portfolio, especially with the volatility right now in the stock market? Hi, I'm Scott Rirecka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital based in Bellevue. We've been running local real estate investment funds for over 18 years. We've had 0 investor losses and have averaged double-digit returns since inception. Maybe it's time to take a little risk off the table given market conditions. For stability, there's no better option than Legacy Group's Northwest Fund, a fixed return of 9%. Legacy's Northwest Fund also accepts IRA accounts as well. Find out why over 1,000 local investors have invested over $250 million in our Legacy family of funds. Get in touch with us today. Legacy's Northwest Fund, returning 9%, has limited opening for new investors right now.
Call 425-635-4700 or visit LegacyG.com. That's LegacyG.com. This is not investment advice. Legacy investments available to accredited investors only. Details at LegacyG.com.
Well, I'm here with my good buddy, Dr. Dan Nelson from Eastside Pain and Regenerative Medicine. And you've heard from Dr. Dan's patients over the years how a simple stem cell procedure has successfully conquered their pain. Well, folks, now it's my turn. After years of dealing with knee pain from all the football abuse, I can say my knee pain now is almost 100% gone. How'd you do it, Dr. Dan?
Well, Brock, personally, I'm very happy that you did so well. And your story is like so many of our other patients.
patients who come in, former athletes and non-athletes as well, who have come in with chronic knee pain, and they are looking for alternatives besides knee replacement surgery. And we're happy to provide this service. It's been truly a game changer for so many folks. It's just been a pleasure to be part of this.
Consider Dr. Nelson, the only doctor with over 30 years of experience in pain medicine techniques, including stem cell therapy. I was in and out with a couple of follow-ups. It's a non-surgical solution to pain using your own stem cells. Consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Daniel Nelson, MD at 425-823-4000 or visit DanielNelsonMD.com. That's DanielNelsonMD.com.
This is Matt Coker from West Coast Men's Health. Has Viagra stopped working for you? Do you hate the side effects? If you've taken Viagra for any length of time, you already know that pills are not the solution to ED. Here at West Coast Men's Health, we have a better approach to ED. Acoustic wave therapy creates blood flow circulation by safely removing the plaque in your arteries and restoring function naturally. No pills, no shots, no surgery. We can also treat Peyronie's disease. Our non-invasive treatment for ED is painless and highly effective. We have treated thousands of men just like you. Stop living with this problem and do something about it. Do yourself a favor, do your partner a favor, and call us today.
Call 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com. HSA cards welcome and financing available.
There's nothing better than having a big fish on your line. You'll hear that sound a lot at Queen Charlotte Lodge. Experience a luxury resort, breathtaking wildlife, spectacular wilderness, and amazing fishing at Queen Charlotte Lodge in British Columbia. Reserve now for peak king salmon runs and plentiful halibut this May and June. At Queen Charlotte Lodge, it's fishing first class. Go to fishqcl.com. That's fishqcl.com. And remember, our dollar is worth $1.40 north of the border.
4 down territory, going inside the game with Michael Bumpus.
I like this. More quarterbacks should start doing this.
Every day at 11:15 and 1:15 on Bumpin' Stacy.
Hey, Brock Hewitt here for my friends at PCF Group, or People Come First Construction Group, and that's exactly what they did when we made the call a couple years ago. We wanted to redo our outdoor space, wanted to add a deck, an outdoor living, a television, and a kitchen, and PCF Group, wow, they more than delivered. And if you're interested in building a stunning outdoor area like we did, I cannot recommend them enough. Reach out before the good weather arrives, and their schedule, well, it's going to fill up. So whether you're looking for a complete outdoor living space or a very specific project like an underdeck ceiling, deck, patio cover, railings, PCF has you covered. Design now and pay later. In fact, get 12 months, no interest and no payments, and up to $6,000 off and a $1,000 Amazon gift card. Request a complimentary design and estimate consultation at 425-629-8476 or project ideas. Explore photos at pcfgroup.com. That's 425-629-8476.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Headed to the ballpark? Skip the traffic jams, parking fees, and the stress of driving. Make riding transit part of your game day ritual. Roll in with your crew, talk stats, meet fans. No traffic, no stress. Community Transit riders enjoy seamless connections to light rail and ferries to get to Seattle and beyond. Youth 18 and under ride the bus for free. All in for the win. Plan your trip with Community Transit at ctgo.org/homerun.
Scanning the airwaves for the most interesting and entertaining stories of the day. Sweeping the dial. Every afternoon at 4:45 with Wyman and Bob.
Presented by Silver Reef Casino Resort.
Dave, we were talking about Jorge Polanco with Jon Morosi. We had him on earlier today. You can go back and listen to that conversation on our show page on Seattle Sports or the YouTube page on Seattle Sports, the YouTube channel. But his colleague, your guy, Mark DeRosa, broke down a change in the batting stance for Polanco and why he believes that's been a big help for him.
He was wide open in 2024, and Edgar Martinez talked about, and Kevin Seitzer, the hitting coach, talked about when you start wide open, if you're bringing it back, sometimes you're bringing it back in different places, right? You're not landing this foot in the same spot every time. So what they wanted to do was kind of clean it up. So he has gone more to the traditional stance and cleaned it up where this front foot is more parallel to his back foot and he's landing in the same spot and he's consistent with his move towards the plate. Something that's interesting to me.
Pretty amazing what he's. We talked about this earlier, Mike, that, you know, he has 9 home runs, which is second. I mean, there's a whole bunch with, not a whole bunch, but Suarez. It's easy to get to 10 when you hit 4 in one game.
Yeah.
Holy smokes. Aaron Judge and then Cal Raleigh is third. They all are tied for first, actually. But yeah, look at Cal's strikeouts. 36 for Aaron Judge. He's got 28. Suarez has 33. And then you go down to Jorge Polanco, who is tied for second with 9. He only has 9 strikeouts. It's pretty amazing. His on-base percentage is really high too. It's incredible. Who would have thought? Who said Jorge Polanco is going to be like the offensive savior in the first quarter of the season?
And one of the most valuable players in all of baseball. I mean, he's the reigning AL Player of the Week. He's probably the second best player this month. You could argue that, you know, he might be Player of the Month, if not for what Aaron Judge has done this month. So that's been absurd. But yeah, Jorge Polanco, so valuable. And that's interesting, just the change in stance. And it sounds like that really has to do with the health of the knee, and that he just probably couldn't hit like that last year, because when you're batting left-handed, all of that weight, that distribution coming up onto that front right knee, it's something Ryan Rowland-Smith has talked about. I think he talked about it today with Bump and Stacy, kind of along those lines of, we didn't really realize how much of an impact being healthy could have on Jorge Polanco, and it looks like that's been the main difference.
When's the last time you saw him in the field? I mean,
what was that? They moved him out of the field right before Williamson came up.
So was that around the
a couple weeks
49ers?
ago?
The Giants,
49ers,
the Giants series.
Yeah, I can't remember. It all kind of runs together, but
I'm not interested in seeing him.
Right, I think
at third base.
Yeah, you don't need him now, which is good. So let's see. Well, no, enough to look at that. We'll figure it out later.
Sweeping the dial.
Well, we know about this guy. He is just an all-around good guy, and now he gets to go play for the best team in the AFC. Tyler Lockett, a longtime Seahawk, now with the Titans. He had his introductory press conference today. No, don't scoff, Dave. This is a really good clip here. He explained why he personally introduced himself and shook hands with every Titans media member.
I feel like, you know, y'all are just as much as family as everybody that's going to be teammates, right? Like, so you got to get to know the coaches, get to know the media. You guys are going to be the ones writing stories about us, whether it's good or bad. And who knows, sometimes doing that handshake, you might be a little bit more lenient with the... Yeah, but I mean, either way, I mean, it's great to meet y'all. You know, obviously, I'm gonna learn new names, learn new faces, but excited just to be able to do some media with y'all.
I miss him already. I was kind of like that with Pete. I've told you guys that story a number of times. When I was coming back from spring training, I went to visit my parents in Tucson, and I forgot that Pete, you know, he had his sons were coaching down there. This is like a little more than a year ago. Anyway, I saw Pete on a plane, sitting in coach. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just sitting in the window seat with his wife Glenna, and I was like, God, I miss you. I mean, if you see, I didn't say that to him, but if you see Tyler Lockett, aren't you going to be like, oh man, I want that guy back? And really, that's not any kind of manufactured thing. I mean, he's doing that just because that's the kind of guy that he is.
You know, you have your list of all good guys. And once they have long lived past their impact on the field, I think we, from the perspective of people you just like to talk to, whether that's in the clubhouse, the locker room, those sting more. And certainly the Titans media now experiencing what Seahawks media had here with Tyler Lockett. Just that's a guy that from a working perspective you appreciate. And so what we do in the business of interacting and, you know, talking to these guys and picking their brains and learning things, Tyler Lockett's a guy where we saw his production last year really tail off. and he knew he wasn't going to come back with a $17 million cap hit. But that's a tough loss from that perspective. Just that all-good guy team. And we'll bring up Paul Sewald because we always would bring that up the year after he left. He was the best interview to go to because he was self-effacing. He gave you a lot of good stuff. He would always be willing to talk even after a tough outing. So it's those losses that hurt beyond their impact on the field, even where you knew it was going to be tough to bring back Tyler Lockett from a pure production standpoint. But it's why, yeah, like you said, you're always going to miss him.
You know, that's me and the professor. That's how we became friends. He was. I was kind of a go-to guy for certain people, you know.
And you hated the rest of them.
I don't remember snapping at anybody except after the Senior Bowl, the Gator Bowl that I played in my senior year in college. Yeah, somebody asked what I thought was a dumb question, and I was really angry because we lost. But yeah, other than that, but yeah, that's how I met Clayton, just chatting with him, and so then he would always come back to me. I was kind of his go-to guy, and you never know, you might build some relationships there. But Tyler, you can't have a better guy than him. And I just remember his rookie year ago. Think he's going to be like this 10 years from now? And I said it kind of sarcastically. And he pretty much is. Yeah. He's pretty much the same guy that walked through that door back in 2015, 2016.
Sweeping the dial.
Well, that Nashville real estate market's hot, too. So maybe he gets his realtor's license there. Has a nice side career after his playing days are done. This was the strangest story of a very strange draft saga involving Shedeur Sanders, where he got a prank phone call from someone claiming to be a GM of a team, and it turned out the kid making the prank phone call was the son of Falcons defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich. So a Falcons defensive coordinator, his son, was the, less than smart kid who made that call. The NFL has come down and fined the Falcons $250,000 and Ulbrich himself $100,000. So his son cost him $100K, and he also had an apology for his son's prank call.
I'd like to publicly apologize to Shedeur and Sanders' family for what occurred. Second of all, I want to publicly apologize to Mr. Blaine, Terry Fontenot, Reed Morris, and the entire Falcons organization. My actions of not protecting confidential data were inexcusable. My son's actions were absolutely inexcusable. And for that, we are both deeply sorry. The NFL has taken action, and I fully respect the punishment. We take full responsibility, my son and myself, and we will not be appealing the fine in any way.
I'll tell you what, being the lone father here, yeah, I would be somewhere between I want to kill you and I'm really embarrassed. Yeah, it just, I feel bad for him. I really feel bad for Ulbrich. He was here. Mm-hmm. He was here for a while, and, he's a linebacker. I think played for the Niners most of his career. But, yeah, the call itself was kind of funny. He said, "You still there, or you're still waiting?" And, well, you're going to have to wait a little longer, or something like that. The prank call was funny. But, yeah.
Can you imagine that, though, if it is your kid that ends up being the one that does that?
Oh, my gosh.
You're right. Embarrassment
might be embarrassing. Because it's just a reflection on you. I mean, you raised the kid, and why is he doing that? But, yeah, I'm sure I've done some things that my parents weren't too thrilled about. But and then how about the $100,000?
Yeah, I think that's what I'd be furious about.
I don't know how old the kid is, but he's
21. He's in college, so
okay.
College kids.
Well, I would make him work it off. And I'm going to pay you minimum wage, okay? And you're going to work here at my house.
So for the rest of his life,
I'm never going to empty the dishwasher again in my entire life, or do the lawn or whatever. I would just, oh man, I would punish him. That would be so humiliating. And Ulbrich's such a good, solid dude, man. He's a good parent. It just, you never know what kids are going to do.
Yeah, a lot of bad fallout from that. We are going to get to a good topic, though. A guy who would never do this. Cal Raleigh would never do something like that. He has great conversations, including another one coming up with Shannon Drayer. Another edition of the Cal Raleigh Show comes up next here on Wyman and Bob. This is Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app.
Brock and Salk.
Straight from Pierre, South Dakota, Brock. Gray, good morning. How are we feeling today?
Super excited to be a part of the Seahawks and the team that they do.
Are you still growing? Could we see a bigger Gray Zabel at some point?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, big thing about gaining weight is just steaks and squats. That's all you got to do to put on pounds.
Steaks and squats.
Well, and you could go from bush light to butt heavy if you need to.
Yeah, exactly. A few extra carbs.
Brock and Salk. Morning 6 to 10 on Seattle Sports. The app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
Mike Salk here, and luxury awaits at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel, where comfort meets elegance. And this summer, you can experience the breathtaking Cascade views, the world-class dining and entertainment, and elevate your next getaway by combining effortless style with the utmost relaxation. Plus, Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel's award-winning outdoor summer concert series is back with amazing artists like Hanson, Austin Jenks, Melanie Fiona, and POD. This summer, overlooking the beautiful Snoqualmie Valley, snocasino.com for tickets. Seattle's closest is now Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel.
Shane Company engagement rings are expertly crafted to fit both your style and your lifestyle.
My wife's an artist and works with her hands. Shane Company helped me create a ring that's beautiful and sleek. She loves it.
Shane Company rings are crafted with care using high-quality materials, and we set each center stone by hand in our jeweler's workshop right here in our store. We also protect your ring, including the center stone, with our unmatched free lifetime warranty. Let us help you find your perfect ring, in-store and at shaneco.com. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
We've all been there, sleepless nights, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy knowing we're here for you. BayAlarm.com.
The Puyallup RV Show, May 1st through 4th. 400 new and used RVs, plus manufactured homes. Over 1,000 floor plan options. It's your best chance to save all year. Browse the exhibits, chat with the experts, free parking. Tickets at PuyallupRVShow.com.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
Dave Wyman here for my friends at Harley Exteriors, a local company serving all of Western Washington for the past 23 years. I'm really excited to work with Harley Exteriors because they're my kind of people. I had Ray, Chris, and Nick out to my house just to see what they could do for us. You see, we've been in the same house for 24 years, and virtually every window in our home has a broken seal. Harley Exteriors has an exclusive high-quality Euro vinyl Olympic Series window manufactured right here in Washington, and these windows are designed specifically for homes in the Pacific Northwest, helping to maximize energy, efficiency, and beauty. It's a window you can trust to last the life of your home. Very affordable, with options like 0 payments and 0 interest up to 12 months for qualified buyers. Through April, buy one window and get the second for 40% off. Harley Exteriors are big fans of the station, and they're excited to work with our listeners, and I'm proud to be working with Ray, Chris, and Nick. It's a team you can get behind. Call 833-HARLEY or go to harleyexteriors.com.
Hey, Brock Heward here, along with IRG Physical and Hand Therapy President and CEO Shannon O'Kelly. Now, Shannon, I need to ask you if what I've been hearing is true. You don't need a referral, really, to see a physical therapist in the state of Washington?
That's exactly right, Brock. The state of Washington is a state that has what's called direct access. That means that if you get up in the morning, for example, and you hurt your back or did something to your muscles or tendons or joints, you can call a physical therapist directly, and we can get you in that same day and start your care and your recovery process.
How can patients get scheduled with IRG?
Oh, it's easy. You just contact us at irgpt.com. We'll direct you to our concierge service, and we'll take care of all that for you. We handle all the authorization, verification. We want our patients to understand their insurance benefits and what the outcomes are going to be with their visit to IRG Physical and Hand Therapy.
Please, please, please don't let injuries keep you from your passion. Schedule online today at irgpt.com and start the journey back to your best self.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Worried about your battery and the heat? We get it. You don't want to get stranded somewhere with a car that feels like an oven. We've got you covered at AutoZone, America's #1 battery destination. Our free battery testing and charging service can help. And if you need a battery, we'll help you find a new one, no problem. Power through with free battery testing and charging at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
You know what's better than a limited time deal? An unlimited time deal. That's why the Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag with a Junior Bacon Cheeseburger, 4-piece nugs, Junior Hot and Crispy Fries, and small soft drink is available all the time. Because the best time for fresh, never frozen beef and Applewood smoked bacon is all the time. Duh. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot. For the best deal of all time, gotta be Wendy's.
A limited time does not mean forever. U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, and California and via third-party delivery. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S., Alaska, and Canada.
Mother's Day is Sunday, May 11th. Still need a gift for mom? Puyallup Chocolates will make you look thoughtful. Send mom a stunning gift box filled with premium chocolate treats. It's so beautiful, no wrapping is needed. Every box includes a handwritten card with your message. Order by May 7th to guaranteed delivery in time for mom. Go to PuyallupChocolates.com and use code ESPN to get 20% off. A beautiful box, a sweet surprise, and a very happy mom. PuyallupChocolates.com. Order now.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
Today was the deadline to exercise fifth-year options for 2022 first-round picks. Only 6 were declined. One of those, though, kind of notable, tackle Evan Neal, a guy who was selected a few picks in front of Charles Cross. He was drafted by the Giants. They declined that option. An update from Joe Espada. He says Lance McCullers Jr. will start Sunday against the White Sox in what will be his first MLB appearance since Game 3 of the 2022 World Series. And according to ESPN's Kylie McDaniel, the A's will call up their number 2 prospect, right-handed starter Gunnar Hoglund.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Wyman and Bob.
On Seattle Sports.
Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton.
Well, these have been some really insightful conversations since we started this. The Cal Raleigh Show. It's been going on for a few weeks now. Cal and Shannon Dreyer every week. Thursdays at 5 o'clock. We had the draft last week, but each Thursday from now on through the end of the season, you can tune in and hear Cal Raleigh. And it's time now for another edition of the Cal Raleigh Show.
The Cal Raleigh Show.
Belted way out of here to right field. Holy smokes.
Every Thursday with Shannon Dreyer on Wyman and Bob.
Seattle has been nothing but good to me.
Cal, good to be back. We're not back for very long, and I know the road trip ended a series ago, but so impressive. It was an East Coast road trip. They're different monsters. What do you take away from the success that you guys had as a team on the road?
Yeah, I mean, I think anytime you're on the road, it's always tough. You know, obviously traveling, being away from your home. You know, obviously other team has the advantage being with the fans and last at bat. So anytime you can get wins and take road series on the road like that, it's always huge, and it's huge for later down the road as well. So,
what was the highlight for you?
Highlight. I thought we did a lot of good things offensively on the road, and obviously, we lost all of those series openers, but to come back the way we did and to stay in those tight games and to win some of those were really impressive. And, like I said, those matter down the road, and to do them in some tough ballparks as well, Toronto and Fenway, both tough places to play, both really good teams, and to do it there was really important and big for this team.
Because it's early, is that something that plays into that, or is it just because who they are?
No, I mean, like I said, they're tough places to play. It doesn't matter if it's early or late, and obviously you want to get off to a good start in the season, but to do it, like I said, there in a tough park and so against some tough teams is impressive, and just got to keep it rolling. So
you get back home, we get some really tough news on Logan. How's he doing?
He's fine, but I think he's just, upset and frustrated just because he wants to be out there and wants to be pitching, and, he can't be throwing right now. So for a guy that throws a lot and who's been available ever since he was called up, never had any injuries, I think it's tough on him. And, this is kind of uncharted territory for him because, he's not used to being hurt, not used to not throwing. But the important thing is nothing serious has happened, and we just need him to get healthy and get better and back as quick as he can, and just got to get him back healthy. So
yeah. Does he? He's such a creature of routine.
Yeah.
I mean, is he like looking around like, what do I do right now?
Yeah, I think the whole no throwing thing is really thrown for a loop. So, but he understands, you know, he can't throw right now, and he has to make sure that he gets healthy, and he has to follow the you know, protocol and all that. So he, like I said, not easy for him because he's a competitor and he wants to win. He wants to be out there with the guys, but at this moment we need to get healthy, and he just needs to, you know, try to get as much rehab and all that as he can.
So he was replaced with another Logan. You, of course, got to know him in spring training a little bit. What is it like for you to catch a debut? Is that a different kind of responsibility?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you're trying to hold his hand through it, and not in the sense of he can't go out there and do it, just, you know, trying to help him as much as you can and let him enjoy it as well, because you only get one debut, and try to sprinkle in your touch in there to try to help him get as many outs as he can. So I thought he did a great job, and did a good job of mixing and keeping them off balance, and did a good job getting through 5 and, you know, getting a dub too.
Has there been a situation, and we'll cut or we'll speed it up or play the music as you think about it? I would imagine you never know what you're going to get the first time you catch somebody who is maybe making a debut or coming back from the IL, or somebody that you've not caught. What's been the most adventuresome? Have you ever seen a guy out there that just is like, whoa, what just happened, or nerves, or has there ever been something that you've really had to be kind of on your toes for?
Yeah, I'd say there's some guys that, you know, you just don't know their tendencies or their characteristics of their pitches, you know. You obviously know what it's supposed to do, and, you know, just not knowing how a guy, you know, where his misses are and things like that. And I think as well, too, you don't know how somebody's going to come out and respond, you know. Some people are so jacked up that they're going 1,000 miles an hour and they aren't able to control themselves, and, you know, others are, you know, weirdly calm in those situations, and it's really just kind of getting a pulse on it early, and maybe before the game talking to them, and really most of the time it's trying to slow their heart rate down and just trying to get them back on track. So
what'd you see from Logan?
He did a good job. He's confident in his stuff, and like I said, did a good job mixing, has some good breaking balls, and like I said, kept him off balance. So, you know, thought he did a really good job his first outing, and you know, it's just going to be progressively trying to get him to learn and try to get him ahead of the curve really before, you know, gets hit in the teeth, because at some point, you know, everybody's gonna, you know, fail at the big league level. It's just about really getting through those growing pains early and trying to help him out as much as you can. That way he can stay ahead of the curve, and, you know, that fall's not too bad. So, but he's doing a great job, and looking forward to keep catching him. So.
What about the guy on the hill tonight? We're about 2.5 hours from game time, and so you can say anything because it will not get out, because this will run in 2 days. Right. But what do you want to see from Bryce Miller tonight? What do you want him to
Yeah, I just want to see him be competitive in zone, really. You know, it's been a few walks here and there, and really want to see him, you know, get some early outs as well, you know, not getting too deep into counts with hitters, and, you know, get some early ground balls, some early fly balls, and really want to see him finishing his pitches. You know, he's had a tendency to kind of fall off the mound a little bit and not get down the mound as well, and get that last 10% that you hear about, a lot of people talk about. So kind of look for him today to really get that last 10%, finish his pitches, really get that extra break, extra life on his pitches today. So.
Are those things that you talk about? What goes into the meeting that you have with him, and how long are those usually before pregame meetings?
Yeah, I mean, we always talk, you know, after the outings, and then we obviously talk before the games. Before the game, it's really, we're talking a lot about situations in the game. You know, obviously we talk about hitters, we talk about their strengths, their weaknesses, trying to match them up with his as well, and from there, you know, you get it all out there, and you all have the game plan, but then there's also the human aspect of it, and, you know, what I want to see from him. I want to see him compete today, etc. I want to see him, you know, finish his pitches, whatever. Just something that he can go out and hold himself accountable to. So.
Okay. 10 home runs in the month so far. Do you have that written down anywhere for your start of your season?
No. No, just trying to, you know, do my best, trying to get off to a good start. You know, I know it's been an emphasis for this team, and trying to do my part, and, you know, still plenty for me to improve on as well. So just got to keep going and keep racking up these series wins. So
10 home runs is impressive. I asked for this last year, and you didn't quite get there. I'm hoping you're off to a good start. Stolen bases. Can we get 10?
I think so. We'll see. Try my best. So, but yeah, 3 so far. Knock on wood, we can get a few more. So, but we'll find our opportunities to get in there.
Do you have the green light?
No, not necessarily, but.
Do you have a red light?
I mean, it's all game dependent. So,
okay.
Where we're at in the game, who's on the mound, what the catcher throws like, so, but a lot of it is who's on the mound, what his times are, is he good at holding runners, is he not. So, obviously I'm not the fastest guy, so I'm not just green light everybody, but, guys that are a little slower to play, you just look to be a baseball player, really. You're not, just play the game. If he's going to give you second base, take second base, If you have the opportunity to help your team get 90 feet, a lot of those times, that's what wins ball games, so.
Okay. I think 10 is reasonable.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Last question. Andres Munoz, noted cat person. He had a little event at a cat facility yesterday, and he's helping raise awareness and raise some funds for the felines. Have you seen the cat on the road before?
Yes. I think it's Matilda, isn't it?
Matilda.
Matilda, yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, I've seen him and his wife. They have the crate and bring the cat. And I'm happy for him. It's awesome.
Are you a cat person?
Not really. I'm more of a dog person, but cats are fine. They don't bother people, and they do what they do. And yeah, if you want a cat, get a cat. If you want a dog, get a dog. But I just don't like shedding. So as long as I'm not a big, I don't want the hair everywhere, whether it's a dog or a cat. So no shedding.
All right, but you're cool if Matilda shows up on the road every now and then.
Hey, you know what? If that guy does what he's doing, he can do whatever he wants. He can have whatever animal he wants to hang out with. So.
All right. So the last question: does he look like last year? Is anything different?
No, I think he's just doing a great job of coming in, doing his job, and he's been in some tough environments so far and some tough games, and I think he's been doing a really good job of filling up the zone with all his pitches, attacking hitters. Obviously, he's got nasty stuff, but he's doing a really good job and keeping them off balance. And he's really kind of stepping into that role of he's becoming that dude in the league of you see him walk into the game, you're like, oh, this is not good. That feeling in the dugout of other opposing hitters. They're like, oh boy, this game's over. So looking for him really to step into that role, and he's just got to keep going. He does a great job, and I think he's doing a fantastic job this year, and just got to keep giving him confidence that he is that guy, and he is that dude on the mound. So, which he has been. So.
It's been great to see, Cal. Next week we talk to you from Sacramento. You looking forward to that?
Yeah, I'll see you there. Yeah, first time.
Me too. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
There's Shannon and Cal Raleigh again, and it's Sacramento.
Shannon's never been to Sacramento.
Why would you go to Sacramento?
No reason.
Yeah,
it's the state capital. So,
yeah, but I heard it gets miserably hot there.
Yeah,
it's already in the 80s, and it's early May. It's going to be 110 when the Mariners go there again in the middle of the summer. It's just not going to be good. So,
yeah. Well, and Cal, we find out that he doesn't like the shedding. What is it? Isn't it a Labradoodle that supposedly doesn't shed, and that's why everybody's buying Labradoodles? Text it in 866-979-3776.
Text in why everyone's buying Labradoodles.
On the heels of Cal Raleigh's interview, we want to know about Labradoodles. And
I think there are a lot of custom-bred dogs now that they're making that don't shed,
Yeah, so, that's... But he said he's not a cat person. I wasn't a cat person either, but I am now.
Now you have.
Yeah.
So you're kind of forced into that?
My daughter, I am. My daughter had a possum at one point.
As a pet?
Yeah. I told her it was the stupidest thing I've ever seen. That thing's a wild animal. It's going to turn on you at some point. And she's like, no. She actually got mad at me.
Did it?
No. I think she ended up I don't know if she released it into the wild or what. She did something where, it was humane and all that stuff. But
how did she acquire that in the first place?
I have no idea.
Went out in the forest and grabbed one?
No, it was like I think it was just in the backyard by itself. Okay. It got left behind or something. So she was, taking like toothpicks and feeding it milk or whatever the hell she was doing. Anyway, we just bring that up because Andres Munoz brings his cat on the road. And you know what? Great teammate, and of course, the catcher, the guy that catches him, knows what the cat's name is. Matilda.
Part of the family at this point. Part of the Mariners family. And, I think it's a good point that if Munoz is performing like he is, he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
If you're a guy who has blown a couple of saves and you try to bring a cat on the road, wouldn't go over as well.
Not cool.
As long as Munoz keeps going out there, not allowing a hit or a run and stays perfect in save opportunities, bring one cat, bring two. No, I know that cat is very special to the Munoz family. So nice to see that the Mariners have kind of adopted that cat as well when the cat goes on road trips. But that's the Cal Raleigh Show. So Shannon and Cal tape that. You might have heard in part of that conversation, it's taped on Tuesdays usually, but this one was taped on Tuesday. So a couple of things hadn't happened yet. Cal shorted himself with his steal total because he picked one up yesterday, so they had taped that before. So Cal's got 4 steals. He also was talking about Bryce Miller's start where, it didn't go well. Miller gave up a career-high 5 walks, but he mentioned afterwards that his back locked up on him. So I don't know if it was necessarily, just not finishing his pitches like Cal was talking about, but just he was in a lot of pain. He told MLB.com's Daniel Kramer he couldn't sit down between innings. So his back locked up right before his start. He was not even sitting. He was just trying to grit through that, and he did get through 5 innings for the Mariners on Tuesday, but kind of a tougher start for Miller. Didn't matter. Mariners got the win because of a Munoz save, so good all around. And that Cal Raleigh Show is up on YouTube, on the Seattle Sports page on YouTube. It's up on our website as well, seattlesports.com, so you can watch the interview. You heard it, you can watch it as well, but a lot of good stuff there from Cal. I thought the Logan Gilbert insight was pretty interesting, Dave, and tough. Because, this is a guy that Cal knows so well.
Yeah.
They were roommates. They lived together for a while. They came up in the minors together. It really does have to be tough if you've never had to deal with injuries to go through something like this.
Well, and especially the kind of competitor that he is. I mean, and he's also, every time we bring up Logan, how conscientious he is and about why he, does all of those, has that bag of tricks to keep himself healthy. And and he works so hard at it, it's got to be particularly frustrating that, what am I supposed to do? I'm doing everything. The other thing is you don't really feel like you're part of the team if you're not contributing. So, I feel bad for him. That sucks for all professional athletes. That's your job. And, you don't feel like you're part of the team and, constantly in the training room and stuff like that. So, but it kind of feels bad right now. I mean, you telling that story about Miller, now all of a sudden, it's like that better not affect him, coming up later because they have so many injuries right now.
Yeah, he had some soreness earlier in the season as well. So you're looking at the starters thinking, who's the actual healthy one? It's only Brian Wu out of the original starting 5. Wu and Castillo, the only healthy guys.
And like you said, he didn't start till May 10th last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, that always happens. It just seems like that they're, you're going to get injuries, no question about it, especially in the rotation and the bullpen, but it seems like it's all coming together at once. Hopefully we get it out of our system, I mean, I think Raleigh, I'm sorry, that looked to me like that one is going to take a while. But then Robles, what did you say, sometime after the All-Star game?
That's what he told Shannon. So Shannon was talking about this during the broadcast. I think it was post-game on Tuesday night that Victor Robles said he's trying to get back after the All-Star game.
Well,
sometime after the All-Star game.
That would be awesome. I would probably consult a doctor on that one rather than Victor himself. But
I mean, he was kind of using his arms to swing that broom around, right? When we saw him in the clubhouse yesterday. Probably more the right arm than the left shoulder and arm. So
it's hilarious how his behavior. And he looks very stoic and quiet. And I mean, you hear that he has monkeys, and you think, okay, maybe he's a little bit of a wild man. But he's just always screaming things out and making jokes. And he comes in there with the broom. You'd think it would be down. That's how I was when I was hurt. And he's just happy all the time.
Dave, I want to get one quick thought. We're going to completely transition to Seahawks because I think it's a conversation that certainly you and Bob can keep having maybe next week, this offseason, as the season begins. But when we talked about not addressing certain positions where they didn't draft a cornerback, they didn't draft a linebacker, they did draft a couple of offensive linemen, certainly Gray Zabel, and then Bryce Cable in the 6th round. But when Daniel Jeremiah was on with Brock and Salk, there was a discussion about their 2nd-round pick, saying, you know what, could they have drafted Tate Radledge, a guy out of Georgia that people had highlighted, instead of Elijah Arroyo?
Yeah, I could have made that case. Yeah. Radledge was 62 for me. And Arroyo, I think, was early 50s. He was 51. So I had a little bit
better.
I had Arroyo just a little bit over him, but close enough where I think I could have leaned in the direction of just fortifying the interior.
So what do you think that says about the Seahawks' perception of their offensive line? Because I guess from the outside, we thought, hey, you could use multiple. Get a guy in the 1st round, get a couple in the 2nd, or get one in the 1st, one in the 2nd. But they did not go with another offensive lineman until day 3. Does that mean they are pretty confident in the guys they have here in the interior?
Yeah, they said that before the draft. I mean, you know, we heard that those coaches, Rick Dennison and the offensive line coach, they thought they had the right guys here. So, you know, the other guy that we forget about is Mason Richmond.
Yes.
He's the kid from Iowa. Yeah. One of the things about him is that he gave up only 7 pressures all year last year. So they like him too. So, yeah, I think you drafted what? 3 guys. Cable you got
Richmond,
Gray and Richmond.
Zabel, yep.
Yeah, so, I mean, saying, hey, we have the players here, and then drafting 3 guys, I thought they did okay in that regard. I mean, it sounds like, and I think for Daniel Jeremiah, he probably hasn't heard that, you know, or maybe he has, but as far as knowing that they feel pretty confident about the guys that they already have.
Well, he did use kind of a shopping analogy to sum up at least just their draft with the offensive linemen.
I mean, if you're going to nitpick, I would have loved to have had one more in that at least middle tier. And they went shopping in the nice store than the bargain store. Like they could have maybe got something at Marshall's.
There's no middle class shopping. They just went all their clothes at Costco at the end is what Jeremiah is saying essentially, and then at whatever your favorite brand name clothing store is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he should have thrown like Costco in there.
Yeah.
Where would that rank? Costco's pretty high end.
That's all the way at the end. I didn't want to mention that specifically, but I think you could kind of tell there. But that's toward the end of the Seahawks draft. It's okay.
Bob stepped away from it. Like I was like, hey, you and me, we buy our stuff at Costco. He's like, no, only socks and underwear for me. I'm like, that's where I get my fashion.
Big part of your wardrobe.
Costco. But yeah, I mean, I think based on what we've heard, and you know, let's see if this lights a fire under Anthony Bradford's butt. Yeah. You know, I mean, and same thing with Lamea. You know, all of the young guys.
Christian Haynes.
Yep, Christian Haynes. I'll be really interested. I was telling somebody this the other day that I hated the draft when I was playing in the NFL. Hated it because every year you're like, everybody's all excited. I'm like, I hope they don't draft a linebacker. So, and that happened a couple of times. So, yeah, it's but I think, you know, these guys are going to compete, and I think it's going to bring the level of competition up, certainly in camp.
Well, this was the draft for you then, because the Seahawks didn't draft a linebacker, and it might signal a trend for how the NFL is going toward defensive alignments. We're going to talk about that and a little bit more with some of the positional curiosities around their draft. It's coming up next here on Wyman and Bob on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app.
4 down territory, going inside the game with former Cougs and Seahawks wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
Nicky Emmanwori has been compared to Cam Chancellor, but have you heard another one that you think may be a better fit?
He's a mix between Cam Chancellor and a Kyle Hamilton. Kyle Hamilton is a bit better when it comes to covering, and Cam Chancellor was just that pit bull roaming the block, ready to fight anybody who goes across the middle of the field. He has a little bit of both in him.
4 down territory, every day at 11:15 and 1:15 on Bump and Stacy.
Hey, it's Dave Wyman here from my friends at Harley Exteriors. It's a local company serving all of Western Washington for the past 23 years. And I'm really excited to work with Harley Exteriors because they're my kind of people. I had Ray and Chris and Nick over to my house just to see what they could do for us. You see, we've been in the same house for 24 years, and virtually every window in our home has a broken seal. So Harley Exteriors, they have an exclusive high-quality Euro vinyl Olympic Series window. It's manufactured right here in Washington, and these windows are designed specifically for homes in the Pacific Northwest, helping to maximize energy, efficiency, and beauty, and it's a window you can trust to last the life of your home. Very affordable with options like 0 payments and 0 interest up to 12 months for qualified buyers. And Harley Exteriors, they're big fans of the station, and they're excited to work with our listeners and proud to be working with Ray, Chris, and Nick at Harley Exteriors. It's a team you can get behind. So get in touch with Harley Exteriors for windows, doors, and more. They're right here in the Puget Sound. Give them a call at 833-HARLEY. That's 833-HARLEY. Or you can just go to harleyexteriors.com.
Since time immemorial, the Puyallup tribe of Indians have lived on what is now called Puget Sound. The Puyallup tribe is a sovereign nation of more than 6,000 members and one of the largest employers in Pierce County. Today, the Puyallup tribe continues to serve its members and community with generosity and is committed to building a sustainable way of life for future generations. Learn more at puyalluptribe-nsn.gov. That's puyalluptribe-nsn.gov.
Need a new roof but not in the budget? A new roof doesn't have to break the bank. Justin Shirley, CEO of State Roofing and Exteriors here. Right now, State Roofing and Exteriors is offering 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for up to 24 months. That's 2 years with no payments while getting the protection your home deserves. But this offer won't last forever. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com today to get on our summer schedule now. State Roofing and Exteriors, held to a higher standard since 1968.
I've always been an athletic guy, but after turning 40, I noticed I was slowing down. I booked a free testosterone check with Revive Health and learned that low T doesn't just impact my performance in the bedroom. I've been following a custom treatment plan ever since, and today I'm feeling stronger and more confident than ever.
If you're ready to book your free T-check, text BOOST to 65555 or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com to schedule your appointment. Message and data rates may apply. Message frequency varies. Text help for help. Text stop to cancel. See privacy policy at ReviveMen'sHealth.com/privacy-policy. For info on how opt-in info will be used and terms and conditions at ReviveMen'sHealth.com/terms of use for terms of short code service.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, because you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak high. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
The playoffs are in full swing, and you can get in on all the action at ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Go from tracking the latest game-changing moments to placing bets in just a few taps. Right now, new customers get $100 in bonus bets when you make your first $10 wager. Download the ESPN Bet Sportsbook app and sign up with promo code JOEQ, J-O-E-Q, to get started today. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details. Offer not available in New York.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Watch your favorite show live at seattlesports.com.
Are you trying to buy a new home, or are you a local real estate agent seeking financing for a client? We're all tired of dealing with banks, credit unions, and endless guidelines. Wouldn't it be nice to go back in time when we had common sense lending? Hi, I'm Scott Rureka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital based in Bellevue. We are one of the largest local private portfolio lenders in Washington. We've helped thousands of home buyers and real estate investors reach their financial goals by leveraging the Legacy Common Sense borrowing platform. What that means is we lend our own money, we make our own decisions. If your deal makes sense, we'll get it done. Whether you're purchasing a new piece of real estate or refinancing an existing loan, bridge loans, construction, or regular home loan, it doesn't have to be as difficult as banks and lenders make it. If you're trying to grow wealth through real estate acquisition, come talk to the experts in private lending.
Call 425-635-4700 or LegacyG.com. Legacy Group Capital, your common sense lender. LegacyG.com.
Well, I'm here with my good buddy, Dr. Dan Nelson from Eastside Pain and Regenerative Medicine. And you've heard from Dr. Dan's patients over the years how a simple stem cell procedure has successfully conquered their pain. Well, folks, now it's my turn. After years of dealing with knee pain from all the football abuse, I can say my knee pain now is almost 100% gone. How'd you do it, Dr. Dan?
Well, Brock, personally, I'm very happy that you did so well. And your story is like so many of our other patients who come in, former athletes and non-athletes as well, who have come in with chronic knee pain, and they are looking for alternatives besides knee replacement surgery. And we're happy to provide this service. It's been truly a game changer for so many folks. It's just been a pleasure to be part of this.
Consider Dr. Nelson, the only doctor with over 30 years of experience in pain medicine techniques, including stem cell therapy. I was in and out with a couple of follow-ups. It's a non-surgical solution to pain using your own stem cells. Consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Daniel Nelson, MD at 425-823-4000 or visit DanielNelsonMD.com. That's DanielNelsonMD.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Wyman and Bob.
Weekdays 2 to 7
on Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Been a fun show so far. We've had Jon Morosi, broke down everything Mariners. Paul Moyer, who I think you wanted to just talk Mariners with him, Dave. He wanted to get to the draft as well. So
yeah,
we had
did.
a lot to talk about with Paul.
I was torn, but that's a good thing, right?
That is a good thing. Yeah.
I mean, our Mariners, the only thing, it comes with a little bit of a string attached, and that's the injuries. Just a little bit of worry there.
Yeah, we'll see what happens when they start the series tomorrow against the Rangers, because it's a reeling Rangers team. So I think for the first time, if you lose a series, when they lose, I'm going to make the prediction the Mariners don't win every series the rest of the year. So when they finally lose one, then all those questions will start to come to the forefront. But for now, you can put them aside and say, hey, that's a future problem because they've won 7 straight series. So all is good right now. First place Mariners team. But we talked to Jon Morosi about it and Paul Moyer. I talked to Derrik Klassen about the Seahawks draft, and he had some interesting things to say about Nick Emmanwori. Really wasn't as high on him as some other people. So one guy who was pretty high on him, Daniel Jeremiah, he had an interesting explanation for why he slipped to the second round when he was on with Brock and Salk. And I'm curious to get your thoughts on this, because it's kind of what we were talking about last segment, Dave, about the de-emphasis of certain positions, where inside linebacker, we're seeing that kind of disappear with how teams are playing and how teams are aligning defensively. Cornerback, maybe with a couple of guys you can move around, and now safety. And Daniel Jeremiah, on with Brock and Salk, says it's really just the position is why Emmanwori slipped to the second.
I can tell you exactly what happened. I did my last mock draft, and I heard from his agent, who called me after the mock draft was over and said, I don't understand, how in the world do you have this guy not going in the first round? You think he's a top 15 player, yet you don't have him. It doesn't make any sense. And I said, because every single year a good safety falls to the second round. I mean, you can go back and track it. Brian Branch was a top 20 player and went in the second round. Javon Holland was a big-time player, fell to the second round. This league does not value that position as much as maybe we do publicly. Now, I think it's a mistake. I think that you can look at a lot of those guys. McKinney's another one.
Buda Baker.
Yeah, every year there's just highly rated safeties, and every year one of them will fall into the second round. I don't agree with it. I think it's foolish, because we see so many of these guys who are somewhat can't-miss players, and they end up being great pros. But that's just how the league is, man. So that's why he's available. It's not for any other reason.
Yeah, you know what's interesting about that, though? The versatility of Emmanwori, because somebody said, oh, he's like a mini linebacker. He's not a mini anything. He's 6'3", 220, 225. I mean, you mentioned the fact they didn't draft an inside linebacker. And, yeah, I mean, they have some nice pieces there. I mean, Ernest Jones is fantastic. And, then you got, the rookie or second-year guy now, Tyrese Knight, next to him. And then I'm blanking on the kid that played a little bit at linebacker last year.
Drake Thomas?
Drake.
Yeah.
Yep. So, but the one thing is, a lot of times you see one inside linebacker, not all the time, but I mean, they have packages where they have multiple safeties in there and guys that are versatile. And look, this guy, I mean, he's a thumper. He's, like I said, 220, 25 pounds. That's not far away from the weight of a lot of good linebackers. I mean, you look like Levante David, I think weighs like 230, and he can just fly. So, I mean, Nick is close to that. And, yeah, I mean, I I think that's what makes him that so versatile. But it's kind of interesting that the whole safety slipping to the next, and I think I'm trying to remember where they are on the franchise tag list as far as, what's the franchise number for them, because we know running backs get totally disrespected.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think it goes that, then tight ends, then safeties, or maybe they don't even break it down. But, typically your safeties don't get paid as much as the corners on the outside, but this guy can play everywhere. So, and I said this earlier about Devin Witherspoon, that I think it would be a shame if you had to put him on the outside at corner, just because he's such a physical player. He's not big physically, but he loves playing in the box and taking on blocks and making tackles inside. So, but that's kind of where Nick Emmanwori is gonna. He could be one of those guys that you just don't take off the field, and there's not many of them. So I love the move. I think that they could have done, maybe drafted a guy at inside linebacker, but Moyer loves the guy from UNLV, the kid, the linebacker. So, we'll see how that goes. But, Emmanwori, I thought, the other thing I was going to say is the Seahawks had him on their list at number 18. He was going to be a first-round draft choice. Him and the kid Starks, Malachi Starks, I think was on that
the Ravens.
list.
Interesting,
Yeah, so, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
something McDonald identified. Yeah,
exactly. So, I thought it was interesting that at one point, anyway, that they had either Emmanwori or Gray Zabel or Malachi Starks at that number 18 position.
Well, break something down for me, because I think the fear is the association people are going to make when you hear these attributes and you hear the description of Emmanwori and you compare him to a recent known quantity here in Jamal Adams. Because we're prone to make those common assessments of, okay, well, who exactly does he remind me of? So you hear Jamal Adams, well, he's the guy who plays in the box. He plays close to the line of scrimmage. How is Emmanwori different than that? Why should people be excited and not concerned that, this is just another version of Jamal Adams?
Well, Jamal Adams' problem was that he got hurt. The other thing is Jamal Adams, you have to say he did not have good ball skills. And he didn't get a lot of interceptions, but he did, break a record for a defensive back having sacks, and so that was kind of his game. But yeah, so he's kind of a up in the box type of safety, not a guy with great ball skills, but he was also kind of undersized. Whereas you look at Emmanwori, I would love to be comparing him to Jamal Adams, not the version that we got, but what we saw,
the high draft pick version.
Yeah, and what we saw at for moments, a couple of games here and there, and then he got hurt. What did he have? A finger surgery, and then he had all kinds of things going on, a knee surgery, and it was bad because he had not been a health problem. But I think Emmanwori is way better at his ball skills in playing safety. Who is it? Minka Fitzpatrick, who's kind of a comp for Jamal Adams, and Fitzpatrick has something like 39 interceptions or something like that at this point in his career. He's more of like that guy, but bigger and more of a thumper. So, yeah, I'm really excited about him, and I think like Cam Chancellor, his ball skills, they developed as he became a veteran in the league, but when he first got here, not great. So, yeah, and coverage-wise and things like that, and whereas Emmanwori looks a little bit more sophisticated.
And that's a good point, too. These are high draft picks, but they also can develop, and that's the important part of coaching and a staff that gets the best out of these draft picks. So we're talking about guys and what they need to improve on. Well, they haven't even played a snap in the NFL. So you're right. A guy coming in can certainly improve and get better. And if these are some of the concerns with Emmanwori, he's allowed to develop and get better. So
like
that's
Mike
what you hope. You hope a good defensive coach will bring the best out of him, like McDonald did with Tyrese Knight, a fourth-round pick who I don't think many expected to be a starting linebacker last year, and then he was invaluable to this Seahawks team. All right, well, we have a very special edition of What We Learned. I don't really know what we learned. The only thing I know is that we learned it's Matt Nelson's birthday, and he's thrilled I mentioned that. But we're going to learn everything else today when we come back here on Wyman and Bob on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app.
Mariners have won 7 series in a row.
Baseball's hottest team does it again.
They're getting it from so many different places. You got J.P. Crawford, you got Leo Rivas.
Tell me about Samad Taylor's bunt.
Oh, that was sexy.
With momentum at their back, the M's look to keep rolling tomorrow night. Mariners, Rangers. Pregame at 4 after Wyman and Bob. First pitch at 5:05 on Seattle Sports. Listen on 710 or the Seattle Sports app.
You know, after years of football and the injuries that go along with it, my first thought was always go get surgery. Hey, it's Dave Wyman here, but after a consultation with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine, my eyes were open to an alternative to surgery, and I'm talking about stem cell therapy with Dr. Wagner. It helps with severe osteoarthritis, including bone-on-bone, loss of cartilage, even rotator cuff, labrum, and meniscus tears. And it's really all about getting people back to doing the things that they love without pain and without surgery. Dr. Wagner's 60-minute outpatient procedure uses your own stem cells, which can regenerate your own cartilage in your own joints. Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, is a board-certified Seattle physician with over 30 years of experience, and get this, he's performed over 20,000 stem cell procedures, so he knows what he's doing, and he's one of the few doing it the right way. So whether it's a shoulder, hip, elbow, ankle, wrist, or knee, before choosing surgery, see Dr. Mark Wagner first. Get the facts, then get back in the game at drmarkwagnermd.com.
This is Jill Schlesinger. May is Military Appreciation Month, and I know how much I appreciate the military. I married into a military family. I hear from so many members of the military, and Navy Federal Credit Union wants us to celebrate those who go above and beyond for us every day. If you're active duty, a veteran, or part of a military family, you're eligible to join. At Navy Federal Credit Union, the members are the mission. Learn more at NavyFederal.org/celebrate. Navy Federal is insured by NCUA.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit NoTimeToWait.com, sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
This might be the most surprising statistic I've shared in decades of doing local news. More than 75% of commuters will be involved in a car accident at some point. JP Pendergast of Pendergast Law with more.
What makes it more surprising? The average person will be involved in 3 to 4 collisions in their lifetime.
With accidents unbelievably prevalent, what are some safety tips if it happens to you?
Safety first. Secondary collisions are not uncommon while awaiting help. Turn on those hazards and remain in a safe place. If a bystander witnessed the accident, capture their information and encourage them to remain at the scene. Seek medical attention immediately if needed, as delaying can be a costly mistake. Lastly, remember that statements made to police and insurance adjusters can affect your case.
Collisions are more common than we'd like to think. If you find yourself in one, follow these helpful tips and then call my friends at Pendergast Law.
If you or a loved one's injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
PendergastLaw.com.
We've all been there. Sleepless nights, mind racing, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Video security, burglar alarms, fire alarms, access control, 24/7 monitoring, and more. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy, knowing we're here for you, your people, and your business. Visit bayalarm.com to talk to a local security expert. Bay Alarm, we got you.
Subscribe to the Seattle Sports YouTube page to find new and exclusive content from your favorite shows and personalities daily. Just head to YouTube, search Seattle Sports, and click subscribe.
Hey, Brock Hewitt here for my friends at PCF Group, or People Come First Construction Group, and that's exactly what they did when we made the call a couple years ago. We wanted to redo our outdoor space, wanted to add a deck, an outdoor living, a television, and a kitchen, and PCF Group, wow, they more than delivered. And if you're interested in building a stunning outdoor area like we did, I cannot recommend them enough. Reach out before the good weather arrives, and their schedule, well, it's going to fill up. So whether you're looking for a complete outdoor living space or a very specific project like an underdeck ceiling, deck, patio cover, railings, PCF has you covered. Design now and pay later. In fact, get 12 months, no interest and no payments, and up to $6,000 off and a $1,000 Amazon gift card. Request a complimentary design and estimate consultation at 425-629-8476 or project ideas. Explore photos at pcfgroup.com. That's 425-629-8476.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is for you too. Stubborn fat is really hard to get rid of, and then there's all those gimmicky lasers, fat freezing methods, and prescriptions. Imagine a simple solution that takes just one day and provides immediate noticeable results. Introducing ProSculpt. ProSculpt uses air-assisted technology that's safe and gentle yet powerful, delivering instant fat-reducing and skin-tightening results. Performed by board-certified plastic surgeons while fully awake, ProSculpt contours your body with minimal downtime. It's designed to target those problem areas: waistline, neck, face, arms, thighs. ProSculpt gently removes unwanted fat and tightens loose skin with FDA-cleared plasma technology, all in a simple, guaranteed one-day procedure. ProSculpt is one and done. Schedule your free consultation at prosculpt.com for $250 off. For powerful permanent fat removal and skin tightening that works for ladies and you men, it's prosculpt.com.
This is a house of learned doctors. What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
What did we learn today?
No one's a bigger idiot than me.
Stupidity is the easiest way out.
Dave, I don't really know what we learned today, except the thing I can't say anymore because Matt's glaring at me. So we'll turn it over to Matt.
Oh, you mean that it's Matt's birthday?
Yeah.
When
That's
has
the thing
me
you can't-
glaring at you ever shut you up?
Yeah, it's
It's
true.
never worked.
Yeah, he pretty much glares the entire day.
But usually I don't see when he's glaring at me because I'm behind him. So it's a glare that goes that way. Now I can see it directly. So, okay. We'll let Matt
You should have to
run the
sit
show
here. Like he's practically lined up to look right at me give me his disapproving looks.
Dave is just 24/7 staring down the barrel of the glare.
I do so when Ryan Roland Smith filled in for you, he sits there sometimes, and I sit behind Matt. So sometimes my eye is just staring here to look at you guys. I'm like looking at him because that's what's happening in the show. And he looks back like, "Why are you looking at me, mate? Like you're right in front of me. That's why I'm looking at you. That's where I'm looking." So it throws
Lots of
him
times
off
you
still.
kind of hide behind that monitor back there. I can't tell if you're back there or not.
Yeah, that's the plan. So, okay.
If I want to talk
we'll get
crap
to what we
about
learned.
Lefko, I want to make sure he's not in there. Hey, is Mike in there? Okay.
Save it for tomorrow. I'm not here.
All right. What do we got?
Well, first of all, since it is my birthday, I decided to play this clip first. We learned about the best moment in Dave's broadcasting career.
Well, you, awkward, and a Mariners player. There's only one thing that comes to mind.
Ty, I wish you were out here. I took a picture of your photo on the San Diego State website when you were in college, and the picture looks like you're 12.
Now, we ended that clip, but there was about 5 more seconds.
It was, Matt. Did you dig that up, or was it numbnuts here?
Yeah, this one.
I've never heard that before in my life. What was your goal there?
I have no idea. No idea. I'm just like, wow, he looks young. Happy birthday, Matt.
Thank you. I needed that today.
It was live. It was one of the most awkward, uncomfortable things I think I've experienced.
I was fine with it.
No, you weren't. You felt awkward. You thanked Bob afterwards.
I don't know what was going through my head at that point. I was just like, we were in a conversation, and just like a very minor detail. I don't know. I had no expectations.
Things that get said, right?
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
That was classified. Things that get asked.
Things that get asked and not answered.
Yeah, I was talking about how every once in a while you can take a shot with you never know. Oh my gosh, my friends were telling me that for so long, and I wanted to get that picture changed. You never know. That might have happened, but no, we got just awkward silence. And you know what? I was proud of Ty. I liked him more after that.
That's true.
Because I was like, that's the response that question deserved.
Yeah. We lost Matt for the rest of the show.
I can't stop laughing about it. Every piece
Thanks
of
for
it is
digging
so
that
perfect.
up, Lefko.
You're welcome. Numbnuts helping out over here.
Yeah, I don't need Matt with any more ammunition than he already has.
I already have a folder full of just Dave mess ups from over the year, and
same.
I'm so happy to add one more to that.
Okay, we'll move on. What else did we learn?
Well, we learned that Lefko got a new nickname.
Numbnuts?
I don't know if this is a typo or this is just a new nickname for me, but I kind of like it. I laughed. He texted in. He said, "I'm feeling your pain there, Pickles. Such a nice day."
Pickles.
Pickles.
That's like a clown's name.
Yeah,
Pickles
or
the clown.
A dog.
Yeah, so
right?
it fits.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's what I think when I look at Lefko now.
Wait, clown or dog? That would be a good dog name, right? People call their dogs Pickles.
Yeah, that would be a dog name.
That's a dog name for sure.
Boy, Matt's on fire today. That's his birthday gift from you and me.
Pickles is so funny.
We set him up.
Random.
We set him up to make fun of us in really pretty good ways.
Yeah, it's almost, I don't know if it was a shortening of like making fun of my pickleball or just a true typo of Lefko and it autocorrects to Pickles, which is really funny to imagine. But there it was. It popped up on the text line. So new nickname here.
You would have
Pickles
to misspell Lefko pretty bad for it to go to Pickles.
Well, voice to text. I mean, we've seen some crazy things come into the text line. So who knows what's happening? Or if you're typing a word and it just autocorrects and you send because you really want to get that text in to Wyman and Bob. So I don't know, but Pickles is what came through. And Pickles it is.
What else have you been called? There was Thumb for a while, which I never got that one.
I don't get it either.
What was the other one? Did you have another one?
Oh, Fluffco. Fat Lefko.
There was Fat Lefko.
Yeah.
Man, I think there's another one somewhere.
No, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, put it on the list. Pickles.
Okay.
I really like Pickles.
I do too. The randomness of it.
We also learned that Dave just really wants the weather to be bad.
Is it supposed to be nice this weekend?
No. So tomorrow,
okay,
yes. Good. Wow.
Yeah. Because I don't want these draft choices coming in here, these rookies being disillusioned.
Well, no, they're here already. And it's really nice today, and it's really nice tomorrow when they start practice.
I always think that when those guys come to town, I'm like, and if it's just pouring rain, like was it yesterday or 2 days ago, it was just a dreary, wet day. And I'm like, don't get too excited if it's like 90 degrees and sunny out.
So you want them focused, just beaten down by the weather.
I just don't want them disillusioned.
Okay.
Yeah, they get here on a sunny day. I remember it was 1991. I remember this in June. Every day it rained. It rained every day in June of 1991. And that's when I decided, like in the off season, I would spend my time down in Arizona. But yeah, it was just ridiculous. And I got, like, you talk about Fat Lefko, Fat Wyman.
Oh.
I was I was big. I was like lifting weights and everything, but I wasn't getting outside and exercising as much as I should have and training and all that.
You were just big boned.
It was just
husky.
No, I was strong as hell, but I was also way overweight.
Oh, have you seen the show New Girl? I love that. Okay. So in that one, Rob Riggle actually is making a guest appearance, and he goes, "I'm the fat kind of strong." Or I go, "I'm the strong kind of fat." One of those things. I just screwed up the reference, but yeah, he goes, "I'm the strong kind of fat."
Okay, well,
so
yeah, I was fat strong.
Okay.
Yeah,
perfect.
No question.
All right, what else did we learn?
Finally, we learned that Pickles can't help himself.
You know what, Dave?
Yes.
You can't annoy Matt today.
Why not?
Don't
Because
do it.
I'm about
Just
to annoy
don't
him.
do it.
Do you know
Please
what today
don't do
is?
it.
It's Matt Nelson's birthday.
Oh my God. You're kidding. Is it on the water cooler?
No. And you know what? That's suspicious, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I think he had it taken out.
I think so too.
Wow.
What? No, I would never. I would never do something like that. I would never deface company
You're
property.
worse than Bob. Happy birthday, Matt.
I can't believe you played that. All right.
Yeah.
More people know it's your birthday now.
We had to.
Okay.
We're running out of time. You've also said it 30 times during the show, so I don't think it evaded anyone's perception, Lefko.
People are always tuning in, so we don't know. But yeah.
Different audience every 5 minutes.
Happy birthday, Matt.
By the
We
way,
won't
it's
say it
Matt's,
ever again.
it's Matt's birthday
Yeah,
today.
there you go. All right. Well, that was a good what we learned. Coming up, a guy that we have so much to talk about. We don't know. We'll talk about Mariners, talk about Seahawks. We'll talk about it all. Paul Moyer will join us next here on Wyman and Bob. This is Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app.
Brock and Salk. Straight from Pierre, South Dakota. Brock Gray, good morning. How are we feeling today?
Super excited to be a part of the Seahawks and the team that they do.
Are you still growing? Could we see a bigger Gray Zabel at some point?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, big thing about gaining weight is just steaks and squats. That's all you got to do to put on pounds.
Steaks and squats. Well, and you could go from Bush Light to Bud Heavy if you need to.
Yeah, exactly. A few extra carbs.
Brock and Salk, morning 6 to 10 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
Well, I'm here with my good buddy, Dr. Dan Nelson from Eastside treated pain in regenerative medicine, and you've heard from Dr. Dan's patients over the years how a simple stem cell procedure has successfully conquered their pain. Well, folks, now it's my turn. After years of dealing with knee pain from all the football abuse, I can say my knee pain now is almost 100% gone. How'd you do it, Dr. Dan?
Well, Brock, personally, I'm very happy that you did so well. And your story is like so many of our other patients who come in, former athletes and non-athletes as well, who have come in with chronic knee pain, and they are looking for alternatives besides knee replacement surgery. And we're happy to provide this service. It's been truly a game changer for so many folks. It's just been a pleasure to be part of this.
Consider Dr. Nelson, the only doctor with over 30 years of experience in pain medicine techniques, including stem cell therapy. I was in and out with a couple of follow-ups. It's a non-surgical solution to pain using your own stem cells. Consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Daniel Nelson, MD at 425-823-4000 or visit danielnelsonmd.com. That's danielnelsonmd.com.
So I formed Davis Law Group about 30 years ago, and I would get, the same questions from people about what to do in the case of an accident. Do you need a lawyer? To the point where I decided that I would at least write a book which would answer the common questions that I would receive as a lawyer. Once I wrote my first book, it proved to be hugely popular. I decided to write then a series of books in different accident cases so that we could really teach people about their rights, how to protect them, and how to decide on whether they need a lawyer and what lawyer to hire. I've found in my career that having a client that is educated and knowledgeable about their particular type of case really helps the client and also usually ends up making the case or the claim more successful. To get your free copy of any of my Washington accident books, visit WashingtonAccidentBooks.com.
Hey guys, did you know that half of men over age 50 have erectile dysfunction on some level? Whether you have mild, moderate, or severe ED, West Coast Men's Health can help. We don't prescribe pills and hope they work. Instead, we treat the root cause of the problem with acoustic wave therapy, which breaks down plaque, unclogs arteries, and restores blood flow. We have treated thousands of men across our 11 locations nationwide and have established ourselves as a leader in the industry. So whether you have ED, Peyronie's disease, or suffer from chronic pain, such as neuropathy, carpal tunnel, or Dupuytren's contracture, West Coast Men's Health can help. No pills, no shots, no surgery, just results.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call West Coast Men's Health at 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
Dave Wyman here for my friends at Harley Exteriors, a local company serving all of Western Washington for the past 23 years. I'm really excited to work with Harley Exteriors because they're my kind of people. I had Ray, Chris, and Nick out to my house just to see what they could do for us. You see, we've been in the same house for 24 years, and virtually every window in our home has a broken seal. Harley Exteriors has an exclusive high-quality Euro-vinyl Olympic Series window manufactured right here in Washington, and these windows are designed specifically for homes in the Pacific Northwest, helping to maximize energy, efficiency, and beauty. It's a window you can trust to last the life of your home. Very affordable with options like zero payments and zero interest up to 12 months for qualified buyers. Through April, buy one window and get the second for 40% off. Harley Exteriors are big fans of the station, and they're excited to work with our listeners, and I'm proud to be working with Ray, Chris, and Nick. It's a team you can get behind. Call 833-HARLEY or go to harleyexteriors.com.
This is Secret Clinical dominating extra stinky stress sweat. And this is regular deodorant. Secret Clinical in a heat wave. Oh, what a beautiful day. This is regular deodorant. Ugh, I can't. Secret Clinical with workout sweat. Let's run another marathon. And regular deodorant. How much more? Secret is the GOAT because nothing fights sweat better. Stay fresher under pressure.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
This is the moment